I sold my soul to the bottle. Still none of my friends have left me yet. I'm the same man I was since the age of 13, and I've lived my life with no regrets. If you're looking for some freedom, all it takes is 10 drinks minimum. If you're looking for rhyme or reason, all it takes is 10 drinks.
Oh man, we're live. It's the last party of the weekend. It's 10 drink minimum. I'm your host, Chris Burnett, and this show is sponsored by Topo Chico Seltzer. Smiley, are you there?
I am here with my delicious Topo Chico Seltzer.
You are, man. You brought in a whole nother case of it. I always love when people are like shocked. They're like, are you really sponsored by them? Yes, we really are.
Yeah, that's right. They're like, when and where, we will bring you all the Topo you want.
Right? We love the Topo Chico Seltzer.
That's right. Thanks, guys.
It's Sunday night, and it's party night. We've got a couple people here to party with us. So from Ahhlmaa's AAA Cabaret, we have Ahhlmaa.
Hello.
And you do a lot of other things as well. You're always busy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What else do you do?
Well, I do Electric Playhouse every month, the first Sunday of the month. It's a
Okay.
brunch.
Oh.
But we're going to get more into that.
Right.
Because we got the Electric Playhouse diva here.
And that's Vanessa Patricks.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, hello.
Oh my goodness.
I am so excited to be here, especially with Topo Chico.
They're going to love us today. They're like, oh, hell yeah.
I love a good seltzer, and
yeah.
Topo Chico is one of my favorites. It's nice and mild.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
Because you're like, well, this isn't alcohol. This is just some tasty beverage.
Right? And I generally like to taste my alcohol, but this is like the perfect balance for sure.
Oh,
absolutely.
Wow. Yeah. I'm a fan. And when Smiley came to us and he's like, Topo Chico wants to sponsor us. I was like, the seltzer? And he's like, yeah. I was like, fuck yeah.
Right?
Done
I
and
was
done.
like, you tell him yes. You tell him double yes.
We finally found a sponsor that we would not shit talk on the show.
I know we burn all of our bridges here.
We did before that, yeah. We're
Yeah.
like, oh, wait, we actually like this.
I'm all Heineken.
We'll
This
keep
beer
that sponsor.
sucks. Nasty. Bleh. So Electric Playhouse, it's the 1 year anniversary of the drag brunch.
It is.
So tell us about it.
Well, we actually were doing a drag brunch under a different producer for many years. We started shortly after the pandemic was when we originally started working there. But I took over as show director back in October of last year. So that was our premiere as me as show director, which was a revamp. We started doing a lot of different things, the way that I ran it, essentially like the format of how we did it. We, instead of having random people, I made it a permanent cast so that we have a resident cast, which I always love doing that because, there's ownership in it. It feels like, it's yours. It's something you want it to be special. So that was one of the biggest changes when I took over, is to put in a resident cast. I think it was great. Luckily, I feel like we had some of the best girls in New Mexico. And I love all the drag queens in New Mexico. Well, not all of them, but the most of them, what I mean? So, by saying the best drag queens in New Mexico, I by no means am discounting the other queens that aren't part of our cast.
Right.
However, luckily I was able to book some of the girls that inspired me to doing drag 14 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And brought back some of those icons mixed with some of the new talent in New Mexico. And it was just such a fun mix because we had some of the OGs and then we had some of the ones that were like, top 40, like, doing all the new songs, and some that were doing like the old school musical theater songs. And so we had a really good mix, and it has gotten such a really good following, and so here we are a year later, and in the process we won top monthly event with New Mexico Entertainment Magazine, which was quite awesome, just to kind of represent, because quite frankly, like, obviously I always tell people, like, go out and support local talent, support theater, support all those kind of things.
Comedians.
Absolutely. Comedians. There's just so much amazing local talent in New Mexico.
Oh, you're not kidding. And like, the thing that blows my mind is you have so many people who live here, grew up here, and they're like, this town sucks. There's nothing to do here. And it's like, you couldn't be farther from the, like there's more to do. Like they're like, well, there's the State Fair and the Balloon Fiesta. I'm like, there's so many more things to do.
You look them right in their eyes and like, you're lazy.
You're lazy.
Very that.
Yeah, well, and to be fair, as a whole, and I'm not pointing out anybody specific, I feel like it's hard. People here, we don't advertise as well as we should.
Sure.
And I don't know how, but the thing is, I don't like necessarily know how you would. I mean, the United, whoever ran that campaign when they first started needs to like do classes.
Right.
Because they kicked ass. Like if you didn't know about the United, you were like under a rock, you know?
Yeah, were you out of state?
Yeah.
Right.
I knew about the United, and I was in Chicago. I was like, oh, look at them. They got a sports team. We're a real city.
How cute. They grows up.
A little European. We got a soccer team.
Right. and people, and now we're going to get a stadium probably. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'll believe it when I see it. So Electric Playhouse, how did you get connected with them?
Originally, there was someone named China Doll, who was a drag queen, an iconic drag queen here in New Mexico, who was a bartender, the lead bartender and general manager at the Albuquerque Social Club.
Oh, okay.
During the pandemic, we were kind of trying to figure out whether the Social Club was going to survive. We did lots of campaigns to keep it open. A big campaign called Save the Soch.
I donated to that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Through the whole thing, we really didn't know what was going to happen with the club, but it was important to us to try to save it because,
absolutely,
it's not only a queer space and a safe space, but it's also just such a staple of New Mexico. It's the oldest gay bar in the Southwest. So we were trying to save that. Well, China at the time obviously wasn't working because the club wasn't open.
Right.
And randomly got an opportunity to go start working at Electric Playhouse as the bar manager.
Oh.
And so she was over there working as a bar manager. They were trying to figure out ways to kind of bring business and some new things into their space as they were a new baby company as well. I think, obviously as a new company, you have a concept. They had this concept of this like high tech kind of play space. But I don't know that they necessarily knew exactly where it was going to go from there.
Okay.
And so they just started figuring out like different options. And China, being a drag queen, was just like, hey, how about drag brunch? And so that's kind of how it originally started.
How do they integrate, because Electric Playhouse, for people who don't know, it's this place you can go to. They use kind of like projectors all over the place to be interactive. Like there's like Space Invaders on the wall, and you can throw balls at the aliens and kill them. And then there's like a air hockey that's on the ground, and it's all interactive.
It's like playing air hockey with your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do they do anything with you guys to like make it interactive for the brunch?
So the space itself is there's different rooms and there's multiple different attractions or whatever that you can play different games.
Right.
But the main space is what they call the octagon, which is in the center of the property. And well, that one has a projections on 1, 2, 3. Basically the walls all the way around you plus the floor, and all of those, like you said, are interactive.
Right.
Well, instead of it being like a video game, they actually have programs that are interactive. So like there's times where there's like, say that there's flames. Did like Dorothy, and there was like the wheat fields that were going like this, very it's a really cool space because our resident DJ Flight Phonic, which I want to give a big old shout out to him because we couldn't be able to do what we do without him. He's our tech genius. He actually is in charge of the back wall. Okay. So the back wall, the biggest wall of projection, is going to be content that he builds with the girls' faces. It kind of acts as like a huge billboard during the show.
Oh, wow.
But the floor and the two side walls are all programmed by their programmers, and it's all interactive, and it actually moves with the performers. So when you're having, people run across or dance or do whatever they're doing, the floor is moving with you. The water, if it's water, the water's moving. It's sweet.
Super cool.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the ideal drag venue.
Okay.
Like I came when I moved to town in last September, which is funny because it was like right as the revamp was happening. I went in like December, and I was like, I would do anything to do drag here. Like this is it's like when you watch it, it's like that's literally.
Whoa.
We were talking about like Avery, I was
And
like,
now you know how she got in the cast.
oh, I was like, if they didn't have bathrooms, I would go out back if I had to just work at Electric Playhouse. Like, but it's like it's just so it's literally like it feels like the environment that drag is made for because
Yeah.
it backs you up. Like I had one where it was like paint and like walking across the paint splattering in front of me as I'm walking. Like it empowers you. It's really cool.
See, I didn't even think of like whenever Alma said the Electric Playhouse, I was just kind of like, oh, that's cool. And then now as we're talking about it, I'm like, man, that is awesome. That is a really, really awesome idea. And it's probably one of those ones where you guys probably show up and then you don't even know like the capability, and then they show you and you're like, oh geez, this is sick as shit, right? You know, like
It's a mix. I mean, there's definitely all of that library that Josh is able to pull from that they developed. However, there is like when I took over, one thing that I did add to the show is an opening production number. And I always said, you know, it's kind of like our opening credits of like your favorite TV show. So you're going to see that every time you come. And so I worked with the owners and then also the programmers, which at the time the programmer was in the Caribbean. So I was literally having Zoom meetings with her while she's sitting on the beach, and I'm talking to her about this like programming. But essentially what we did is we built the mix for the opening number, and then we worked with her saying, okay, the girls are going to be standing right here during this mix. So they actually built a full projection that's interactive with the choreography and the production number. So, and then going into the revamp in October and November, we're going to rework with them as well. And so
it's crazy.
there is the general library that we have access to throughout the show. And then there's the pieces that we actually get to build custom for the brunch itself.
Wow.
And so
so you have sets as well.
Yeah. No, not sets,
but
like
digital sets.
Digital sets, essentially. Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's other spaces, like there's a whole photo booth where they built content. So you literally go to take a photo, and it's all of our promos and our marketing of all the girls that are like on the wall all around the photo booth. And then you look when you go to the bathroom, there's like this whole hallway that has projections of all the drag queens and all the. So it's really top notch, and it's super. Just feels good.
That sounds like because I've been to the one that they do every once in a while at what's the Italian place, Matucci's.
Yeah.
And that one's phenomenal. So now I definitely have to go to this. Like, man, because like I love that kind of like just if someone's walking across the floor and there's like flames coming off of them, I'm like that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, even too, like there's something about like I sometimes just when I need a confidence boost, will go look at the videos from it, because as you're performing. Literally, there's like a 2-story high version of me behind me that says Ahhlmaa big on the. I'm like, I'm a pop star. Like nobody.
Don't worry about my billboard.
It's like you're coming out in the WWE. It's like on the back of behind you.
Literally, like we talked about last time. I'm like, wrestling and drag is like straight and gay versions of the same art form. Like
I can see that.
Oh,
but
yeah.
since is wrestling straight?
That's true.
Not 100%.
Let's have to ask Chris. He's the expert.
So
here.
I helped start a federation here, and we just did our big show for the year, because we do one every month at the El Rey. So we did a big one out at the Rio Rancho Event Center.
Okay.
We had 755 people, and we had a steel cage match. And
I actually saw that.
And
I saw a lot of that across my feed because
yeah, and I'm one of the commentators for the show, and it's really funny because I do Ahhlmaa show as well. And when you're in the back during Ahhlmaa show and you're in the back during wrestling, there's really not a lot of difference between the two. Somebody's getting ready, somebody's helping someone else, someone's talking about like, hey, we're gonna and it's all like, show. It's show.
Yeah.
It's a showman, and it's really interesting because like everybody's like, oh, I bet in the locker room everybody's like just pumping iron and getting ready. I'm like, no, they are like, drinking water or like rubbing like stuff on oil on their body or making their hair look just right. So when they come out, they have that good look to them when they come out the door. And it's not much different. It's kind of funny.
I think all the time about last time we did this, he was telling me about like, oh, before we go on, sometimes it's like when he was playing you were like the coach or something for somebody.
Oh no, I'm
going to cross this way, then you're going to cross that way.
Right.
And then I'm going to pick you up and hit you with something. Like, I'm like, this is literally like the girls being like,
yes.
Then you walk across and then I'm gonna be Jackie O, and then all of a sudden you dump this on me. Like it's
Yeah.
like it's drag.
and it's all a show because like we did a show in Clovis, and I got to be the manager for one of the guys.
Manager, yeah.
And so the two evil guys were like, we're gonna come out, and it was in my hometown. So they're like, well, what do we say? And I was like, you tell them that you would have rather have done this show in Hobbs.
Oh,
And so they were like, okay. And man, they said that, and everybody's like, bah, bah. And they're like, Hobbs is a much better city than, Clovis. So then I come out, and I'm like, you don't run my hometown down like that. Well, the villain guy, he's like, all right, I need something that I can hit somebody with, but I'm not going to hit him. I'm going to try to hit him, and you grab it and take it from me, right? And I'm like, okay. So we find this, like, aluminum pipe,
okay.
but it looked just like a pipe.
Like a steel pipe.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I tell him, I'm like, when you go to the ring, like when you're walking up the steps, you hit it on the side of the steps. And he was walking up steps, and he goes, clang, clang. And everybody's like, oh, he's got a metal pipe, And if he hit the other guy with it, it would hurt, but it wouldn't really do much damage. But it looked like it. And so, yeah, like, so during the match, he like gets up in the corner, and he's like in the corner of the ring, and he rears back like that. And I grab the rope, and I jump up, and I grab the pipe from him and pull myself up, and he turns around, and I'm like, no. And then he turned back around, and the other guy hit him, and then won, and that's how it all ended. And it took us like a whole afternoon to like get all that exactly how we wanted it. And it was kind of funny, but it was the most fun shit ever.
Now my question is in Hobbs and Clovis, where the hell did you guys put on a wrestling? Is there like venues in these small towns? I mean, I don't even know that there's
the
like
crowd is going to turn on you now.
Right? I'm just kidding. Well, I don't know.
They've got lots
They have to find
so
you.
I grew up in Clovis, and after I left, they built this like civic center,
Oh,
and it holds like 9,000. And
That's huge.
9,000.
And it's dude, it's nice, right? It's really nice, and they do like rodeos and stuff there. But then they were like, "There's the Clovis Music Festival." This is where my mind was blown. And on the marquee, they had they had the LED like marquees and everything like a stadium does. That's like coming soon, And it was the Goo Goo Dolls and Bowling for Soup, right? And I'm like, the Goo Goo Dolls and Bowling for Soup are going to play my hometown. And then the guy goes, yeah, we're paying him like $90,000. I was like, holy fuck, $90,000?
Of course they're playing.
This is where our tax
well, we
dollars
can't even
are
get those
going.
tax in Albuquerque.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, no shit, they're playing Clovis. They're like, I don't give a fuck where we're playing. $90,000 is $90,000. Like, shit.
True.
But yeah, it was pretty cool, man. It was really cool to be like in my hometown and getting cheered, and that's all
Doing
fun.
your thing.
Yeah.
That
You
was
still have a
coming
lot of
back to
people-
Albuquerque for
Right.
both of us, probably.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
like coming back
Yeah.
here, you're like, this is my home, and people see me for like what I am doing
Right.
now. Like you
Right.
14 years ago, and me like this past year. It's a special feeling.
Like
It's
when
been
you were,
wild. It's been wild. Like when you were talking earlier
Yeah.
about people that always do the whole like, oh, I hate Albuquerque, this, that,
Right.
and the other. I'm like, of course, I will jump on the wagon of saying Land of Entrapment just because it's fun and kitschy,
Yeah.
whatever. But the fact of the matter is like, I personally am one of those people that is in Albuquerque because I want to be here.
Yep. Same.
Born and raised here, moved to New York City, lived there for 8 years, lived
Wow.
in Chicago, did musical theater for a living for 8 years. Coming back to New Mexico, I started doing drag.
the Chicago like this Chicago?
What
Yes,
is that
Malort.
Chicago? I'm not even.
This is the
familiar with
Malort. You don't know Malort?
No, it looks like something I need to do a shot of.
Oh, I don't know if yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm like, you weren't in Chicago long
Yeah.
enough. Oh, that's their like iconic, like disgusting tasting.
Yeah.
Oh,
really is.
Yeah.
It's
Is it
a
like,
rite of passage.
Yeah.
Is it like whatchamacallit? Like moonshine-ish?
No.
Is it liquor?
It's a liqueur, yeah.
Okay.
Like
All
what is
right.
it? There's something that it
pretty
tastes
low
like
octane.
that I can't remember.
It's really low
It's
octane.
low key.
It
Okay.
tastes like hot, dirty rubber bands.
Oh, I'm good then. I'll stick with my Topo Chico.
Yeah.
I thought you liked to taste your alcohol.
Well, it doesn't sound like it tastes like alcohol.
No,
It sounds like it tastes like-
but it's a Chicago staple. It's a old style and a shot of Malort. That's the Chicago handshake. That's the
All right.
it's the big thing. When did you move from Chicago?
Let's see. I think I lived in Chicago in 2005
Okay.
to 6, maybe.
So it was one of those things where it's been there, and then it like didn't like take back off again until like in the last like 10 or 15 years, and now it's like everywhere there.
Okay.
Yeah, because like my buddy he went to the Malort distillery there. Well, they moved away from Chicago to Florida, and then someone bought it and moved it back. It was like
nice.
So now it's like
Girl, nah.
They said
Yeah.
that's the Chicago
And
drink.
my guess is that they're probably not going to reach out. Are they one of your sponsors?
I
or-
wish.
See, I was like, they might not reach out for sponsorship now after you called them rubber bands.
No.
They love us.
They lean into the fact that it doesn't
They're
taste
like,
good.
we are trying to taste like a damn good rubber band.
And so I have the tattoo, and they know about the tattoo. They've seen it. And our buddy goes there.
We have with the hoodies too.
Yeah, we have hoodies.
And they were totally fine with that. They're all, that's badass.
we
You made your own.
We got our hoodies made, and they could totally like sue us. And they were like, "Nah, that's awesome."
Nice.
But like they have ads that say, when you want to kick your mouth in the balls, Malort, or when you want to unfriend someone in person, Malort, or today's the day you fight your dad, Malort. Someone says Malort tastes like office supplies.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, rubber bands.
Yeah.
Now I'm
What do
curious.
people use rubber bands for in offices?
I don't know anymore.
It's funny because that's always an office supply.
yeah.
I wrap money in it.
I mean,
That's
we
the only
use them a
thing.
lot at work, but I work in costumes, so
So,
it's a little bit
yeah,
different.
yeah.
And like we
oh yeah,
use them
she
to
does.
kind of like
She works on Netflix, which is
I-
cool.
Oh,
well,
wow.
recently at Netflix,
right, like
but
whatever
I mean,
the contract is.
ultimately, I'm a local 480 IATSE, so
Oh,
we're,
yeah. Congrats on the new deal, right?
right. I'm
Yeah.
like, hopefully, the world will get picked back up, but of course, apparently,
Is it
that's-
slow right now?
It is slow.
Yes.
I've heard this.
It is slow. I mean, I have lots of colleagues that are
have a
working.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, New Mexico is actually a lot busier than the other markets right
Oh.
now, even California.
Is it just because there's no projects, or is it just the network?
I think from what I mean, and don't quote me on this
Yeah.
because sometimes I'm out of the loop. But essentially, from what I could tell, is that a lot of productions held for a minute, simply because they didn't want to, start a production and then go on strike because the deal. had to get
Oh,
done.
yeah.
So there was nothing. Usually, there's always something in prep while something's
Yeah.
finishing, and it's like that whole rotation of things. Well, I think everyone kind of went on hold for a minute, in order to kind of like make sure that we were good to go. And now you're starting to see other shows.
Well, and we'll see that it's like a ripple effect. So you're saying that right now it's slow. So what that means is in like a year you'll be like, why is there no new shows right now, or no TV, no movies?
Or
I mean-
in a year, we'll just be swamped with work. I'll be
Yeah.
like,
Right.
everyone's calling me every week.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's like, sometimes you're getting all those calls and those offers, and then it's like quiet. And I think I've been in the union for about 12 years at this
Yeah.
point, and so I've learned to kind of not freak out when I'm
yeah.
not getting a call. It's like, okay, it's been about 6 months now.
Oh,
Like,
shit.
But I mean, I haven't really gone that long, but it's one of those things where you just kind of have to be confident that it'll come back around, and that kind of work. But so right now I do have colleagues that are working. I'm personally not one of them, but I'm actually okay with that because
Yeah.
I just finished a long 6-month contract on a new Netflix series that I think will be airing in February.
Oh, that's cool. Can you talk
but,
about that at all or no?
I think I can say that it's probably not that much.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, I don't,
No,
Speaking
no,
of
don't get in trouble.
costumes. She made this costume she's wearing.
That's
I'm like,
amazing.
don't cut to me. Keep the video on
There you
this, because look at every detail is so wild. To me
Well,
on this.
it's so weird to me because like you guys are like superheroes, right? You show up and you look one way, and then when you get you get in full, I don't know what you call it. It's not an outfit. It's full like
full geese, full
full
drag,
drag.
yeah.
You turn into like a completely different person. And it's like the Clark Kent to Superman or whatever. You're like, oh wow, that's not Clark Kent, that's Superman.
I love that you say
Yeah.
that because that's literally what I say to people on
Yeah.
a regular basis.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, well, in regard to like my performance career in New York, like I
Yeah.
spent my whole career butching ups because I was a baritone.
Oh.
And so like to come back to my hometown and start doing drag and trying to find that aspect of myself and creating the character of Vanessa, it's wild because when I used to get called in for comedy roles, improv roles in New York City, hated it so much.
Right.
I was like, I hate comedy. I don't get it. I don't know how to do it. So it's wild now that like you put on the superhero suit
Right.
and all of a sudden I'm able to say shit that I would never say out of drag.
Yeah, wow.
And it's so empowering in that way that it's like literally quote unquote like superhero suit
Yeah.
is what I consider it because
And you've been doing this
Yeah.
how long?
I've been doing drag for 14 years.
And did you do it in New York too, or no? No.
No. which is it's really ironic, actually. I would say the closest gig that I ever got to booking a Broadway show. For the longest time, I was on the short list for Rent on Broadway.
Oh, wow.
And I kept getting called back for Steve, the squeegee guy. He has the Will I solo. Yeah, Will I lose my... That whole thing. And I knew I could sing the shit out of it. I knew that it was right in the middle of my range. And so that's why they kept calling me back.
Right.
The problem is that Steve is the first cover for Angel, the drag queen.
Okay.
And so I spent my entire life making sure that I could play straight on stage. And so when I would get into those final callbacks, I just couldn't switch over to that. I could sing Angel fine because back then I had the range to do it. I just couldn't feminize myself. It just was awkward. Like I just couldn't do it. So it's so damn ironic that now I'm a comedian for a living, and B, I'm a drag queen for a living.
Wow.
Because if I could reverse and be like, let me apply Vanessa to those auditions back then, I probably would have been on Broadway. But it was, it's such a wild thing that like life kind of takes you in a direction that you never would have guessed. Because even when I lived in Chicago, my boyfriend at the time was just like, hey, for my birthday, I want to go to the Baton Lounge and watch a drag show. And I was all,
Baton?
yeah, okay. And so it's so funny because it's like, okay, now I get it. It's and drag is so different than it was then. You know what I mean? Even the last 14 years drag is so mainstream now.
Oh yeah,
and,
it's huge.
I've luckily had the opportunity to be I was on The Cleaning Lady in a character.
Okay.
Nice.
On Fox Network.
Yeah.
I played an informant, Fed informant. So essentially, I'm like, he comes to me for the information that's happening in the clubs, and I like show up to the diner all low key and full drag, and like do this like meeting with the federal agent, and so it's wild.
Low key
And full drag. Right? Yeah. I'm like, thank you. Somebody needs to acknowledge that.
Right.
It was fun. It was wild because the producers. It was Lou Diamond Phillips was the director of that episode.
Oh, nice.
So it was just so cool. To be able to meet like someone that I grew up watching.
I've met him.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart.
Yes.
And working with him, it was so cool because he was so easy to work with. And it was my first time doing network television. So to be working with, 4 cameras on you and hitting a mark and your lines. And it's like, I've done theater my whole life. So to be doing those short clips was just like something way out of my wheelhouse. And if it wasn't him, I don't know that it would have went as well, just because he was so helpful. And what he would, in between takes, he's like, Vanessa, you're right in the pocket, like stay exactly, like keep doing what you're doing. So he was so supportive, and it just made it feel a lot more doable. I was on camera my scene was with Oliver Hudson, and he was kind of like, he was very cool on camera with me as well. And so it was a fun experience. But who in a million years would have thought that like when I finally make my network television debut, it was going to be in drag. After moving to New York, moving across the country to pursue that dream. And now it's like I've gotten more headway in so many ways living in Albuquerque, which I absolutely love. It's opened so many opportunities that I wouldn't have gotten anywhere else. And then of course finding Vanessa, because she's it's done so much for me. It really has.
And like I've watched some of The Cleaning Lady, and so like it's really interesting to me. I guess like after the first season, it goes a little more like telenovela kind of. That's what someone was telling me. And I'm like, okay. I mean, like kind of like Breaking Bad meets that,
Right.
Because it's an interesting concept, and I enjoy it. I need to catch up on it. I'm terrible about watching TV shows now.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me too. I actually haven't watched any of the 3rd season.
Okay.
Because I actually worked on costumes
Yeah.
on the show, season 1 and season 2.
I'm just
Okay.
petty.
So
Like the one time I did, I was like, I got hired on that show, and then I didn't get hired on the show, so I stopped watching it.
well, that
Also,
may
I
or may
watched
not
the
be the
first
reason I
season.
didn't watch season 3.
Oh, no,
I wasn't on
He
it.
said, I'm not involved. Never mind. Who needs that?
Like when are you going to be on? Like, do you know when it's coming out?
On Cleaning Lady?
Yeah.
Oh, that was it was last
was last
season.
year. So-
Yeah, you could go
All
on
right.
Hulu and
So did
watch
you
my episode.
have a
episode
watch party?
5.
Did you have a watch party?
I did.
All right.
Yeah, it was season 2, episode 5.
All right.
And so it was pretty wild. And I actually got to bring in some of the other girls. They actually didn't, unfortunately, make camera as much. They kind of were just a glance. But I had like
Not me.
my crew that like showed
Yeah.
up, and we did this whole that didn't get used. They did a crane shot, which was crazy. They got me the most ridiculous little what are those called? Those ones that are look like roadsters. I forget the name. They're the most ridiculous cars that were ever made.
Like a rat rod.
Kind of, but I forget what they were called. No, it wasn't a Pathfinder. Anyways, it was a convertible version of that.
Okay.
And my hair, had it not been a convertible,
PT Cruiser?
A PT Cruiser,
Yeah.
yes, a PT Cruiser convertible.
Yeah.
And you see 4 drag queens. One of the drag queens jump out of the back, and they do this big crane shot of us like pulling into the parking lot, and like the crane is going like this while the girls are jumping out of the back. And Lou Diamond Phillips was literally just like, he was like, "Oh my God, it's like the Brat Pack. This is awesome. I love this shot." Well, the shot never made it. But
Didn't love it that much, I guess.
unfortunately,
Were you guys gonna go fuck somebody up?
we were going to go meet to go give it up to the feds.
Oh, that'd be cool if like you guys all jumped out of the PT Cruiser and messed somebody up.
Right? Without breaking a nail.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of watch parties, Vanessa's on Absolutely Albuquerque with Amanda Machon, which I think you know Amanda, right?
Oh, big time.
Who that person
He's
is.
like wearing the shirt.
Oh yeah, with your shirt.
Hey!
I'm like,
Red light camera
this
shot
is a
out.
big red
Yeah.
light camera's
I've
hot.
Yeah.
no
like,
idea
you
who
could-
that is.
Yeah.
She's been on. Yeah, she's been on the show probably more than anybody. And
That's awesome.
when she did season 1, she hit me up and she was like, "Hey, can we do a show and talk about it before it airs?" And so we didn't. We were booked. So I was like, "Oh well, let's do a special Friday show." So we did that. Then I auditioned for season 2 and I didn't make it. But it's all
Of
fine.
Absolute Albuquerque?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I guess you're not absolutely Albuquerque.
I know.
Weird.
I know.
You're a little bit Clovis. I don't know.
She's coming for you.
They're all absolutely Clovis.
Come on. Can I get
You'd be on the first episode of that.
Yeah. But I'm,
Yeah.
I'm one of those people. He's got you. I'm one of those people, though. It's like, the opportunity was there. I had a chance to go for it, and I didn't get it, and that's fine. Then you just keep going. You just move on to the next thing. That's how things go,
Absolutely.
And
Well, and that's why you stopped watching Absolutely Albuquerque,
I
right?
no longer watch that show.
It's trash.
The red
He
light
employed the
cameras,
smiley
worst
technique.
band in that. No, I'm just kidding.
What's really exciting is I actually know Amanda from
Yeah.
we worked together at Scalo years ago, and it was the last job I worked before I joined the union in the film
okay.
industry and yada yada. Well, we worked together there, so I've kind of like we've been watching each other from afar, like kind of watching our careers. Like,
Oh,
do our own
nice.
thing.
That's cool.
And she reached out. Well, I don't know. I assume that she gave her name to the producers, and then the producers reached out to me.
Yeah.
And we did the whole Zoom
Yeah,
audition
yeah.
interview thing, and it was great, and it worked out, and it was a great experience. The production staff was wonderful, and of course, getting to spend 2 days with Amanda.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It was just really special to be able to do that, and I won't give away the surprise, but it's going to be a fun episode.
Oh, good.
But we're doing the watch party on the 19th at the Albuquerque Social Club.
Oh, that's cool.
So we're doing the premiere of my episode, which is episode 3, season 2, and I think I can say that the Albuquerque Social Club is one of the places we visit, and so it made sense for us to do the watch party there.
Yeah.
And I'll just say that there's spotlight performances, and you might get to see Miss Amanda do a little ditty, which I'm very
Oh.
excited about.
So funny thing about the Albuquerque Social Club. So I went to college in Portales, and one of my fraternity brothers, he's a gay guy, and he moved up here.
Not a gay guy.
And he lived here, and then he moved away, and then he moved back, and he was like, I'm finally gonna get to go to the Albuquerque Social Club, and I was like, oh, I emceed a show there one time, and he was like, pissed. He was like, what the fuck? He's like, Chris Burnett got to go to the social club before I did.
It's not even your space.
He's like, heterosexual Chris Burnett, and I was like,
It's like when people thought that you were
You're
judging
like,
a
my
drag
mom
show.
went with me too, and
Yeah.
what?
well, and he did a dance number there.
Oh yeah.
that
My
night.
dance troupe did a
What's your
number
dance
there.
troupe?
I was in Kapuli Hekat. It was the traditional Aztec dance.
I think I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How long ago was that?
Ooh, 10
10 years ago, maybe.
Probably about
Yeah.
10 years ago.
That's about when
It's been a
I-
long time since I did that show.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've still done professional.
It was a
dance.
friend of ours'
Yeah.
birthday. It was a birthday, and he was like, "Can you MC the show?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, man."
Cool.
And I don't even remember who. Like, I think we had some comedians. We had a dance number.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, but he was so pissed. He was like, "You got to go there before I did."
I love it.
I was like, "I don't, sure." You know?
That's what I love about the social club. It's
Yeah.
just like so many people are like, "Oh, I've been there." I would say the biggest thing that I always, the advice I give is I'm just like, if you're an amateur cocktailer, you might want to stick with a beer or
Right.
a seltzer.
Oh,
Did they take care of you?
I have
They'll take
another.
care of you.
I have another funny
Oh,
story.
nice.
I went on a like a hinge date with this girl who moved here from California this morning.
Okay.
And she's like talking about like, first of all, she was like, I'm in UNM to go and do landscape design because Albuquerque needs more grass and trees, which I'm like, I don't think you understand where we live. And anyway, but then she's like, I live in Nob Hill, and she's like, I like some of the places, but I don't like the exclusive. How do you say that word? Exclusivity.
Exclusivity, yeah.
She goes. There's a place. It's called like the Social Club. I'm sure it's just a bunch of bros.
Like
And
brand new here,
Say
apparently.
that.
Well, you're not wrong.
And she goes, because it's like some sort of elitist club where you have to pay to. And I was like, well, I don't think you know exactly what you're talking about, but
Fun fact of the social club, which I did not realize till I was doing a show there.
yeah,
Non-members can come to shows, and you're a guest
Yeah.
of the show.
right,
So you're like,
Yeah, if you're a ticket holder.
a lot of people
Yeah.
think that you do have to be like a member to go to a show,
right.
but which I actually thought too. But no. So it's not elitist, girl
No.
of Hinge.
And I'm thinking in my mind, she's just seeing like a bunch of frat bros, and they're like, "What's up, bro? Don't let nobody in." And I'm like, it is not that at all.
It's like the crew team. They're like
Right.
in
Yeah.
row practice.
Yes, everybody's wearing like a sweater vest and
With all
then
that extra
a
water.
button-up shirt and khaki pants.
One thing that I've loved about social club is it is really like a watering hole because it is like very, it's like there's less places here, and
Yeah.
in Chicago, like it like it feels so much more queer at social club. Whereas by
Yeah.
queer I mean like there's people of all genders, all ages, all like it's every different type of person because that's the place to go. Whereas like Chicago, it's kind of like, oh, this is where these people go. This is where these people go, and
Yeah.
there's some crossover. And it's been like, this is a community that I want to be a part of. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like when I came back, I was worried it wouldn't feel queer. It'd be like really limited in the view of drag and the view of queerness and gayness and all of that. But when I came here, I was like, this was more queer than any space in Chicago.
Wow.
Because all the queer spaces in Chicago, all the gays are like, that's the cool spot to be. So then they go, and it's like 50% just all the people that look alike that are
Right.
like going to the cool spots.
I think that is one thing that like a
I
lot of
love
people
it.
don't realize in New Mexico is that when you do live in a big city, there is a lot more segregation. And
Yeah.
granted, I've been back in Albuquerque now since 2009, I believe, or 2008-ish. And looking back, and I think with all the progression that we've had in the recent years when it comes to queer identity and all that kind of stuff, and then looking back and realizing, oh yeah, I guess that club really wasn't very inviting in Chelsea, and
Oh,
I guess
wow.
this bar really. Now that I think about it, that was kind of awkward going to that bar. Like for instance, Splash was like this big like circuit boy bar. Like, and I would go there and I'd be like, oh, I don't have an 8-pack. I don't belong
Oh,
here.
okay.
I think last time I talked about the circuit gays taking over
yeah.
places.
And
It's crazy.
You come back here and you realize that people have limited spaces, safe spaces to spend time in. So I think that that's one thing that like in living back in New Mexico that I realize is that as progressive as big cities are, such as San Francisco, New York City, Chicago, you have so much diversity, but randomly enough, even in modern times, you have so much segregation when it comes to, no, that's kind of where like, the macho jocks hang out, like
Yeah.
all the gay jock guys, and they don't want to be around the drag queens, and the drag queens don't want to be around this, that, and the other, and it's like,
Oh well, then don't go to the social club. That's where all the macho jocks are. Apparently.
Apparently, keeping everyone out.
I told you.
But like because there is so many people, it's like, well, might as well be around the people that look more like me and act more like me because it's simpler. Whereas here, it's like the watering hole. It's like
Yeah.
you're gonna see everyone there, and it's
Yeah.
like that's the queer space. There's and I anyway, like with karaoke or something.
Right.
There's like a lesbian couple and like a couple trans people across the different spectrum
Right.
of
Oh, right,
transness. Like and it's all different ages, and everyone's just like, and it's like if it's what community is and should be. I feel like so.
I agree.
Agreed.
I loved
yeah.
it here because it doesn't feel like that.
Well,
It's less personal.
Because it's one of those things where you like,
In Chicago, I mean.
you accept people for who they are, and they accept you for who you are. And it's like you walk in, and someone from the outside will go, "Oh, that's such and such," or "Who is that?" They're definitely this, and you look over and you go, "Oh, I never thought about it because that's my friend,"
Yeah.
And it's
No.
one of those things where it's like you don't notice like any differences in people until someone else points it out, and then you're like, "What's wrong with you that you're pointing something out like that?"
I think that's
how
a
you think.
lot of what we're dealing with in general, of specifically now this year. I feel like we're dealing with a lot of like the unknown. Like I think that it's so aware on everyone's minds.
Yeah.
Oh shit, that person's different than me. It's time to hate. And it's weird that has come back in such full force in this. And
Yeah.
we can go. I won't
Sure.
go into politics that way, but I will say that I think that the differences are a little bit more apparent. But I think that it's going to swing the pendulum. I hope and pray that it'll swing the
Right.
pendulum to be able to start acknowledging, they're
Yeah.
different than me, but they're, I think when I went up to accept the award for the New Mexico Entertainment Awards, that was one thing I said in my speech. I was just like, we're all artists in this room. We're all,
Right.
we're all musicians and comedians and artists, and that's what makes us common. That's
Yeah.
what makes us have that. And just because you don't understand that what you consider me as a freak because I may be a cross-dresser to you or whatever you consider me, ultimately I'm here to make people smile. I'm here to make people laugh. I'm just like that comedian. I just happen to do it in a different costume.
Right.
And the costume is part of my art, because I create my own costumes, because I do those. It's part of the experience as watching a Vanessa Patricks show, and I just hope that pendulum swings in the other direction in the coming years, so that we can all just play in the same playing ground, because that's really what it's about, is living in the sandbox together.
Well, and like you're saying, like when you get up there and you say we're all artists, remember, we're all in the struggle. We all do, and I feel like the one problem I have with Albuquerque is the crab in the bucket theory, where like. And it seems like it's one of those things that's going away, where back in the day, if you were like the crab trying to get out and like, make a name for yourself, the other ones would pull you back down.
Oh, okay.
And so then back into the bucket, we're like, nope. And then if you made it out, then everybody's like, fuck that person. They sold out, And there was a lot of that. And I feel like a lot of that is going by the wayside. Hopefully there's still some, and there always will be, there's always someone that's mad that you got something that they didn't get. It's always how it is. Now, with that, and you kind of talked about this a little bit. When I posted this show for today on on both my Instagrams, the show and other, someone wrote some fucked up shit.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Not surprised.
and I thought maybe, and I even asked you, like, do you know this person? And I asked around, and like,
Nope.
they basically said they said putos on both accounts, and on one of them I said what, and they were like.
Look up the word.
Look up
or
the
something,
word.
yeah.
Look up the word. They're all putos, and I went, okay. So is that something like? And I had not thought about that happening.
And you
Is that-
deleted it and blocked it.
I
I was
blo-
like, let's
I-
include that.
I deleted them, blocked them, and reported them for hate speech. And is that something that you guys still deal with on a regular basis with drag
Yes.
becoming more
This is
mainstream?
a recent topic, actually,
Yeah.
because we just got Avery actually is producing it and Vanessa's hosting it.
Yeah.
At Avery Martini is what I mean. But it's at not Ex Novo. I'm like mixing up things right now. It's
Also
at
another venue
Los
that really-
Poblanos.
Okay.
And they have a downtown location that they're trying to like
Town
draw
and
attention
Ranch.
to, Town and Ranch, that they have a bar downtown.
Okay.
And so it was like the first thing there, drag thing there, and they got like a bunch of hate comments.
Really?
And it's just really disheartening.
Well, I know
sometimes.
Hollow Spirits did when they did like a drag brunch.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah,
You know
I mean,
more about
and
this, to be honest.
for me, because the majority of the shows that I do often produce or the one organizing the shows or whatever. So I do see a lot of that firsthand. I will start by saying that I am in fact a homo. I actually do Yeah, I'm gay. So calling me a punto is not really at this point in my life, this far along. I'm like, oh, that's a surprise. I didn't know that.
And I laughed. Like at first, I
You
was
know?
like, "Who uses the word puto like on Instagram?" I think that's pretty funny. But
Come on,
On
New
both
Mexico.
posts, they really went around. They were like, "Let me make sure they know."
yeah,
Do
it's
they
even
know what
both.
that means?
Yeah.
In fact, could you imagine? I'm like,
Yeah.
I've heard of a straight drag queen, but they're far and in between. So
Right.
you're not telling anything that everyone doesn't know. We are, in fact,
Yeah.
gay. So we'll start there. But, I would say, doing drag for 14 years, I've definitely done Albuquerque Pride as on the main stage, been the host and hosting prides all over the country and doing things, in the surrounding cities, all that kind of stuff. With that being said, it's always busy during Pride season, right? It's crazy. Last year, I think I had like 14 gigs in 7 days, and this year, so
Jesus.
the fact of the matter is that it's exhausting in itself. Just getting ready,
hardworking
Yeah.
puto.
yeah, very hardworking.
Get it
people.
right.
And so this year was particularly exhausting, and it's simply because of that.
Yeah.
I always finish Pride season being like, oh God, I got through that one. But this year it was really wild. I think it's because it's an election year. I think that the more that you try to live authentically and try to live out, people think that it's taking away their freedoms. And I think that is one of the biggest misconceptions, is that by me being true to myself, then it's taking away your beliefs. And
Right.
it's like, you can have all the beliefs you want, but I don't see how what I do has anything to do with you. It's kind of one of those things. And I feel like as drag has gotten more and more mainstream, there is a part of me that's like, okay, I kind of miss being in a dark bar, because then we got to just live our best life and I didn't have to worry about it. And now I would say as much as 30% of my job as a drag queen is combating that narrative that isn't true about me.
Right.
It's just like, and then you start listening to it and you start hearing it and it starts sinking in and you're like, wait, I a bad person? Am I not doing the right thing? And you have to keep telling yourself and stay strong, being like, no, there's people that need you to be strong. They need you to be that voice. They need you to say, I want to be a queer person that gets to live their life. And so to answer your question, I think that it is the hardest year that I've experienced in my 14 years of drag.
Wow.
When it comes to pushback. And of course, social media is bigger than it's ever been. I mean, I
Right.
grew up in a time where it was the little AOL, so now here we are in my adulthood, and everyone has a voice and has a keyboard to say whatever they want.
The keyboard
And
warriors.
it's just like, yeah, I mean, it's wild. We just got in a conversation the other day about, like, I remember back in the day growing up in New Mexico, it's like, if you talk shit, you were talking shit because you were in the mood to get in a fight.
Yeah, you're
like
ready
if
to
you
go.
talk shit, you were going to get in a fight. Like that's what the point was.
The good old days.
Yeah.
The good old days. Like I tell people, it's kind of a joke I'll do. I'll say, I miss the good old days where if you stared at someone too long, they stabbed you.
I'm not going to disagree with you, sir.
And then I said that to my boss, and he lives in the South Valley, and he goes, "What?" I go, "Yeah, they'd stab you." And then they go, "Are you mad dogging me, Wedo?"
Yo.
And I thought he was gonna fall out of his chair laughing. And he thought that was the funniest shit because that's I had to explain to somebody what a wedo was.
It's like the first time I went to Colorado. I'm
Yeah.
like, why are all these people looking at me?
Yes.
Like, they look at me right in the eyes. They want all of them want to fight. That can't. be
Yeah,
right.
are we fighting?
So New Mexico of you, come on, Butqueño.
Yeah, it's
What's wrong with all these people? They're
Yes.
all looking at me.
and
Sorry, go ahead.
and we have all of these like new citizens here that have moved here from other parts of the country, mostly the West Coast. And like they'll just stare at you, and I'm like, "Are you out of your fucking mind? You're gonna be in the wrong neighborhood
Right.
staring at somebody. You're gonna get fucking blasted, fool."
Yeah.
No, I said it the other day. I joked about it, saying you can tell that you've never gotten punched in the face for talking shit.
Right.
And it shows. It
You know-
shows because you just run your mouth like as if you don't have to have any accountability
Yeah.
for running your damn mouth. Back in the day,
Well-
if you talk shit, you're gonna get beat up.
And if you here's the other thing too. Talk all the shit you want if like I live in Albuquerque and you live in fucking Maine or some shit. Whatever, that's fine.
yeah.
I mean, you have airlines, but
Yeah.
if you live in Albuquerque and you talk a bunch of shit on social media, I'll go up to your face. I'll do it. I've done it to people, and I've walked up to them and I was like, "Hey, do you know who I am?" And they'll go, "Yeah." And I'll be all, "You're the motherfucker." And I'll be like, "I know who you are. You're the motherfucker that said this, this, and this." And then they're every time they're like, "Oh," and it's like, "Oh, you're not tough now."
Right.
You know,
If Chris burn your house down today,
Motherfucker, yeah.
not Burnett.
Well, and that's another thing that I think that people also forget often when they see this glamorous, gorgeous woman.
saw that?
Underneath that, like, I'm a fucking dude, and I grew up with brothers, and I grew up with cousins, and I grew up in New Mexico in the 2000s when there was gangs everywhere, and I knew how to fucking make sure, you know.
And then you lived in New York.
And so I'm just like, go ahead. Like, I mean, I'm not one to fight, but I'm not a fighter by any means, but it's just like one of those things where it's like, do you not see that I'm a big ass fucking dude? Like, I will fuck you up. Like, don't talk shit. Like,
there was a drag queen that used to like bounce at like effects, and I would be like, man, I want somebody to mouth off and then beat their ass.
That would be so good.
I'd be like, hell yeah! Do you see that dude got his ass kicked by the drag queen? That was awesome.
Luckily, go ahead.
The thing about like the weird culture or the like tension with drag right now is like I catch myself so many times just overthinking every interaction with a kid. Even if I'm out of drag, like I'm like with the box, I'm choreographing their junior shows.
Oh, okay.
And they're like, chill out. Like I'm like, wait, but like the way that like because dance sometimes it's like I'm having them pop their hips. Like, is this weird? Are people gonna are one of the parents gonna be like this like, is it gonna be a news story like drag queen choreographs children? And I'm like, it makes you overthink everything. And for a long time I viewed myself as somebody who's gonna be a parent, be a father, and all of these things that I like. It just makes everything so complicated where it makes you othered and makes you feel like, oh, I couldn't be a father, even though that's a lie, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's always about like, I mean, I'm also a person who just overthinks how people perceive me.
Sure,
but like,
sure. I mean, we're all performers, so we all do that.
Right.
That's part of the job, right?
Yeah. But I'm like, the idea of being like, I was at the fair today doing a show. And it was
how hot was that?
Right. We were inside, thank goodness. But when we went outside, there was like a bunch of kids walking by and people looking at us weird. And it's like, is this going to escalate into something totally not what this is about?
Right.
When drag is about joy and creativity and like expressing yourself, which is something that is so aligned with children. But like, I mean, with specific, I don't think it should be. I personally, with my drag, like to keep it in the club late night, and I don't really overlap with children.
See,
but like the idea of expressing yourself and the thing that people are intimidated by is something that kids should be learning. So it's a weird overlap of all kinds of emotions.
Well, and see, like you know, we have this whole thing, and I don't want to get completely into it, but like where they want to family size downtown and turn it into like this, you know, theme park atmosphere.
Oh, the delusion.
Yes. And I'm like, but everywhere in town is built for families and kids and all this shit.
Yeah.
Why can't we have the one fucking place where I don't have kids. He doesn't have kids. I don't know if you guys
don't have kids.
So why can't there be a place in town where we can go watch a drag show and not have to go, oh God, we can't enjoy this because a little kid is here, or I've been in a bar or a brewery and I said fuck, and people are like, my kid is here, and I'm like,
what?
Why? You brought your fucking kid into a bar.
Yeah. Well, then guess what? They're learning a bunch of new words today.
Yeah,
like
a bunch of new words.
It's actually kind of encouraging. I'm like, if people are upset about the F word, like I need to take it less seriously when people are upset about drag.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
but sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's interesting. I won't say the venue, but speaking of like how that pushback you get as the venue, and I have to give a big ol' shout out to any venue that brings us in and says, you know what, we want to stand in line with you guys. We want to be an ally and a true ally. And I've seen a lot of that has empowered me throughout this last season as well. But you know, it was one of those things. And again, I won't name the venue, but one thing that a representative from the venue that I was working with, she said, she was just like, you know, ultimately, because I think it was actually your promo, and we won't say the venue, but you were booked, and I was just like, is that too edgy for this all ages event?
I'm like, what was I wearing?
And I asked the owner or the representative, and they were just like, honestly, the only people that should be seeing that poster are the people on our social media, and there shouldn't be anyone under 21 on our social media.
Agreed.
So therefore, they were like, and quite frankly, if there's any pushback, I think the real question is having a conversation about why you have your kids here to begin with.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So that's the conversation. And, I constantly am saying this on the microphone as this narrative is getting spread politically, because it's all politics, it's all narrative. It's all propaganda. I constantly say it on a microphone, like there is entertainment for everyone.
Yes.
I it's like the same as the television. Do you let your kids watch all television, or do you let them watch the stuff that's developed for children?
Right. We have
it's
cable.
The same
There's
thing with
200
drag.
channels. There's
it's just like if I'm doing an all ages event, it's just like obviously I'm not giving you the full Vanessa F this, Sailor Mouth. But if I'm having an adult show, like I'm gonna give you the full effect, the crassness, the oh shit, did she really just say that? That's part of my brand.
Yeah.
But if I'm in front of kids, so I always tell people, like, stop clumping it in as one clump of entertainment, because there's entertainment for kids and there's entertainment for adults. And that's with all forms of entertainment, whether it be comedy, whether it be television, whether it be movies, whether it be drag, or whether it be anything else.
And
if there's something that's inappropriate, let's talk about, I know that I grew up going into people's garages and everyone's father having a calendar on the wall of tits and everything else. It's just like, why don't we talk about what's actually inappropriate?
Right.
Because I don't think that what I'm wearing is inappropriate, but it's just like, okay, yeah, which one is more sexualized?
Right.
Because the fact that you find this sexualized is a you problem.
Yes.
I do not find any sexual, like I don't sexualize my drag. I don't find it that way. It's literally a character for me.
Yes.
So I don't know. I get heated when I think about it, because it's just like, my God, man.
Like I don't go to Chuck E. Cheese and start dropping F-bombs.
Yeah.
Right.
I was gonna say, like, you look like a '90s toy commercial. I'm like, this is not feminized. I'm like, wow.
Thank you.
Little Bobby Tucker says Topo Chico for the win.
Thanks,
Bobby.
Topo Chico.
So
I'm paying attention to the topo.
Right. So we're at the break time. We're gonna take a little break here. Before we do, I want you guys to promote your stuff. So your drag brunches, when is it?
The first one that we have coming back for our revamp is going to be October 6th, and doors open at 11:30, and the show will start at noon. We're coming back with a full effect January 6th. Then, of course, like I said, the watch party for Absolutely Albuquerque premiere is going to be at the Albuquerque Social Club on Thursday, the 19th at 7 o'clock.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And then Ahhlmaa, what do you've got next Saturday?
Yes, next Saturday
it's
is
your
the second
birthday
Saturday. It's my birthday month. It's my 1 year in Albuquerque. We got the AAA Cabaret.
Yeah.
It is all drag, so that's gonna be fun. It's the 14th. And then the Saturday after that, we have my first show that I'm producing at Social Club.
Oh, wow.
Beast Night of 100 Creatures,
Which you are.
and that Beast. Yeah, that's exactly what I am. And that's 4 days before my birthday, so that's like my birthday show. And yeah, we got Electric Playhouse October 6th, and that's the whole cast, y'all. Because normally we have to do half the cast and do so this is gonna be all of us in all 11 in full on Halloween costumes.
Yep.
So I get to fully commit to, I'm gluing teeth on my face, y'all, and that's why you get it now.
Wow.
It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Full on.
Nice. Smiley, you got anything going on?
Nothing to talk about now.
So yeah, you do.
Ooh,
Yeah, you do.
that means there's something really good happening.
Oh, you're talking. Oh, you mean that? No, I meant in my
So-
professional life. No,
I know.
with,
So September 26th, we have September Rain. Is it the 26th? Let me look. Yes. At the El Rey Theater, we return to the El Rey Theater for September Rain with our new World Heavyweight Champion, Hobo Hank. Sorry if you haven't watched the YouTube video yet. He had to get a new shirt because the other one got covered in blood. So someone bought him a new
I
shirt.
noticed that.
Is Hobo Hank from here?
Yeah.
I've heard that. I had no idea. Wow.
He's been wrestling for like 27 years, something like that. Maybe more. But he had a Vice documentary done about him, and he's really a manager, regional manager for Chili's. It's kind of funny.
I love you, Hobo Hank.
Yeah.
That's everything.
There's great pictures of him on the top of the steel cage with the new title belt, because we got new belts. And then if you're in the city of Chicago,
Hey,
Chicago keeps coming back into the day, huh?
know. Oh my God.
October 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th, Smiley and I will be in Chicago for Kevin Smith's Chronicon.
We will.
All right.
Kevin Smith Universe is going to have their own Comic-Con, and it's going to be all the different people from the different movies: Clerks, Chasing Amy, Mallrats, Tusk. Shannon Elizabeth's going to be there.
Get some Dogma in there.
I feel like
too.
you're personally excited about that.
Ming Chen will be there, of course.
Of course, our good friend.
And then next Saturday, I will be at Ahhlmaa's AAA Cabaret.
Yes, sir.
I don't have anything to do, though. Very
No,
sad
you've
about
got lots to do. You've got lots to judge. It's going to
it.
be
All
great.
right, I'm going to judge.
The sole voice of reason.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
Fair enough. That sounds good.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with more show. We have some Ahhlmaa AAA Cabaret to talk about because I have some questions for Ahhlmaa.
Oh, no.
So stick around. And with that, we are 10 drink minimum.
Lay down and sleep in your cozy little bed. Don't be the sheets. Somebody call, don't be afraid. Hey, hey, hey. I'm feeling shadows speak, but they ain't breathing. They're deceiving you again. Hey, hey, hey. Oh, creaks even when there's no one around. Oh, oh, Then seconds drop, feel it keep you down. You wait another day to hit the ground. Ever explore again, it will be the season. Angry try. Curtain, shine spotlight on the forehead. You absorb the sweat. answers to the stigma you created, motivated in your head. And I know flow creeps even with there's no one around. Oh. Flow creeps even when there's no one. Under control, keep you down, you wait. Control. Supposed to live without you. Here we are, the place me without you. Volunteered our staff. I'm speaking only shades of golden days. They could be. The world's about that I want to say it wasn't for us. What could we do? How do we do that? Take a breath on our backs, backs, you're starting. The days next to your skin. What's the real? Your face is what I see. Walk to the corner of the shade. The bottom sky is a red bright. I can whisper, there's no use to volunteer a stand. I'm speaking of wishing, boy, just make it better. Don't see right, I'll just wait. The words apart, and I want to say what wasn't for us. What could be better? How can we do it right? To the place song, our backs, minds, and up, dreams started. My days next to me, yes, chase it on, chase it on.
More was brought to me by Greg.
Really?
Yeah.
My sister and her apartment.
Yeah. He was all, they're coming from Chicago. I was like, well, are they?
And they were like, what was it for?
Oh, when you had your drag sisters in, that's when you got introduced to it.
Yeah.
Shut up. That's hilarious.
They were like,
It's just the same. Let's all run me a kind of ghosts floating in a place of mind and mind. A bad set for a certain kind of time machine to take me to the top of when we met. You hear that sound? It's the sound of you taking me back. Your eyes say no, that look is mine. The back says, boy, that's alright. I guess. Come on, child, let's slide to what we had. When the weather came to part, the clouds that cut the shine off bright were too high, the bow can't reach you. Like a constant up until the world is small, voices are not heard at all. Above it all, the winds are see-through. We can't see you. The shade right on the concrete pipe. I sold my soul to the bottom. Still none of my friends have left me yet. I'm the same man I was since the age of 13, and I've lived my life with no regrets. If you're looking for some freedom, all it takes is 10 drinks minimum. If you're looking for rhyme or reason, all it takes is
Oh my gosh, we're back from the break, and we're enjoying the Topo Chico Seltzer. I'm Chris Burnett. and we are in the Billy/Wavy hour of the 10 Drink Minimum show. Smiley is here.
I am indeed.
Man. And from Ahhlmaa's AAA Cabaret, we have Ahhlmaa.
Hi.
Always a pleasure. Do that again?
Hey.
All right, make sure. Okay, all right, cool.
Oh, hey.
And then from the Electric Playground Drag Brunch, we have
Playhouse.
Vanessa
Playhouse.
What did I say? Playground?
I mean,
Yes,
It's our playground.
it's our
Yes.
playground.
Hi.
Vanessa Patricks.
Hello.
Duke City Warrior says hello. Duke City Warrior was at the State Fair all day today as well, like you were.
Did you go to the speakeasy?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if they did. Yeah.
Oh.
Turn the mic this direction.
Towards you.
Yeah, there you go.
Hello.
There it is.
There we
Boom.
go.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know how to do a mic without covering my face.
Good, because well, you should.
Just to give a shameless plug for
Do
your
it.
sponsor, this is the third flavor that I've tried today. And this is probably my favorite now.
Which one is that one?
I'm drinking the tropical mango.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah,
Right?
no, it's bomb. I'm really enjoying it.
Now, and I want to say only good things about them, but they did send us like some product that's not out yet.
Ooh.
No. It's
Oh, it's not the vibe.
it's different.
Yeah.
It's not our vibe. It's
not our vibe.
It's aimed at so the younger generation. I'm sure when we were younger.
Tell me it's a Sunny Delight.
No.
Oh,
I wish.
I saw that in the store the other day. I
So
was
when
like,
we were young, maybe 21, I'm going to say 21, not under 21, because you don't drink when you're under 21.
Mhm.
But like we probably drank some booze that we're a little ashamed of, maybe.
sure, we all did.
A little Boone's Farm, a little Mad Dog 2020, or whatever. So it's kind of
You
that
are from New Mexico.
vibe,
Yeah,
right?
It's kind of that vibe.
And it's that vibe. And I guess the kids these days, they drink what's called a Borg, a binge-only rage drink.
Oh,
Rage gallon.
Rage Gallon, yeah.
They fill up a gallon jug with like Kool-Aid and then like hard liquor, and then walk around and it all comes out of the pandemic because you're drinking your own.
Yeah, because you
you're
don't
not
want to share
sharing.
drinks.
You're not sharing.
Oh.
And so Topo Chico's trying to go after that market, and they sent
Okay.
us this thing. And I mean, it literally tastes like Boone's Farm wine in a can to me.
Oh.
It's basically supposed to be like you're replacing this. You're replacing the Kool-Aid with this instead. They're like, this
And,
is just a different flavor that you.
I'm sure
pour
it's
in
fine.
there.
It's just not for me.
And yeah, this is not really the jam that we're going after
I'm-
of getting blackout drunk Rage Gallon. All right.
I would say that I'm like one of those that's like, okay, I can go for one. I just,
Yeah.
at my age, I'm like, if I drink more than one of those, like, talk about a hangover.
Oh yeah.
All those sugary drinks, I'm just like, no, ma'am.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
that's why we chill with just the
regular
the-
Topo.
yeah. Like what is there sugar in here? Probably a little.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. So every second Saturday of the month, and
Not much.
I have to like
Not much at
explain that. Not every 2 Saturdays, but every like on the
Yes.
month, the second Saturday of the month. Have you had people do that to you too? They're like,
Yeah,
oh, so
you
every
gotta
other
be-
Saturday? You're like, no, it's the second Saturday of the month.
How are people like, oh, do you have it coming up? I'm like, it's always the second
Saturday.
Saturday of the month.
Almost AAA Cabaret, which I am 100% lucky to be a part of.
Oh,
And
I
and
appreciate that.
I've said this on this show. I've said this off this show. It's my favorite thing that I get to do.
He says it a lot.
I get so excited.
Wow.
Smiley's never been because he's an asshole.
I work on Saturdays.
Okay.
Perfect. You'll make it to brunch on Sundays.
There
yeah,
you
there you go. You got always something.
go. And then like the great thing is like I already had, tremendous respect for drag queens because, the art form that you guys do, not only in getting prepared for, showing up the way that you are,
Right.
but like then you perform in it. And like the high heels alone scared the shit out of me every single fucking time. But seeing Ahhlmaa perform not only once but twice. Well, I don't get to see both, but like it's so crazy because like you don't see a lot of performers that like do a costume change mid show and then look completely different.
Right.
And there's not enough like dap or respect given to that. Like holy shit, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because that's on a like people do that on like a major level.
It's definitely one of the wild things. I would say not everywhere. They do that apparently in New York City. Drag queens, you leave in your costume. That's what you perform in.
Yeah.
If you have 5 performances, but in New Mexico, it's pretty proper to switch out. Like when I show up to a venue, if I have 2 numbers,
Right.
that probably means that I show up with 3 wigs. One that I have on when
Wow.
I get there, one
yeah.
for the first number, and one for the second number, and that includes 3 costumes.
Right.
I did the New Mexico Gay Men's Chorus recently in the spring. I did their spring concert, and I had 9 costume changes.
It was
8
Holy
wigs.
wild.
And that was
Like,
really
step
cool.
off and back on in a whole different look.
And that's what I always tell people. I'm like, for me, the costumes, the creation of the look is a big part of it. It's I am my own choreographer, costumer, concept, like all the things. So it is a lot of work, but I feel like, again, it's the magic. It's the magic of it all.
Well, no,
It's the joy of it.
And because of this cabaret, like I've lost 50 pounds.
Oh, work.
And the thing that I can now do is fit in a lot of things. But it's like there's another guy that I interviewed, and he said a couple things that changed the way I looked at life. And then the cabaret has changed the way I look at life. So I try to show up because I'm like, well, now I've got to look pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And I do. I try it, right?
You got some good blazers.
and I'm still coming. I'm still got more to come.
Yeah.
And some more looks to come. And then we have the Halloween show where we're going to dress up, you
Yeah.
know, because I think we are, right? I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
good. And
We
so,
love an October show.
yeah. So, like, my questions are like, so far, who have been your favorite people so far that have performed?
One thing that I've loved is seeing, because we try and have variety. So it's like, this next one is going to be slightly different.
Yeah.
But like, when I encourage drag queens to come,
Right.
they, I think, sort of feel this sense of like, oh, I need to do drag with something else. And so like seeing them, like we had Gemma Royd the other month, and she sang live, which is something I'd never see.
Okay.
Like from Gemma especially, and it was so fun.
I didn't know that Gemma sang.
I got in trouble.
didn't either.
I got in trouble for that.
Oh,
Yep.
Oh, Chris.
I got called out on this show.
on this show?
I was told that I was too mean to her.
To Gemma?
Yes.
What did you say? I feel
Okay.
like you were like, she was like, work. She loved it. She had
I
a good
thought
time.
it was great. So
Yeah.
here's what I said.
Okay.
It was our first time to sing in public. First
Okay.
time.
Oh, wow.
And I said, as a judge, I said, when I want to see someone perform, I want them to, cut a vein and bleed all over the stage and leave everything they have up there and be undeniable.
Sure.
And I said, I feel like you cut that vein. I feel like you bled everything you had, and you are not yet undeniable, but you are on your way. And someone said that was mean. And I was like, I think that's fucking phenomenal for someone's first time singing.
No,
Like-
that's a compliment.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I agree.
That's funny.
And they were like, no, that's harsh. And I was like, what?
It's 2024. You're not allowed to say anything.
I know.
Right. And Chris is the Simon Cowell of the show.
Yeah,
and
I
that's really like,
Chris, you big bully.
Here's what's
How
fucked.
dare you?
Here's what's fucked up. There's 3 of us, and we rank people by A, B, C, or D, or E, or F. I gave someone a B and got booed, and then the very
Larry
next.
Aguilar, who you know.
No, not even
Oh,
that
different one.
That
Oh.
was the first one I got booed on.
Because you said you negative comment.
Share.
No. Okay.
Oh.
it was
Because it was a B instead of.
do we
an
want to go
A.
into why I gave that one a B? That person a B?
Because
sure.
I want to know.
Well, hold
I
on.
surely want to know.
Okay, because before the show, they were like, we can't give 2 people all A's
Sure.
because we only have 1 prize, and we had already given somebody all A's. And my 2 judges had already on Larry. They were like A, and I'm like, fuck. I didn't want to give him a B. I was like, that was amazing. But then I gave a B and booed. And then I was like, that's not my favorite Cher song. Oh my god, I got booed. and then Doug comes up. He's like, thanks for taking that bullet for us. Like this show. I was like, son of a bitch. I was like, god dang it. So then like the next week, I give someone a B. I get booed, and then Carissa is the next judge, and she gives them a B as well. And then they cheer for her.
They cheered.
I was like,
For
what?
the same person?
It's cold hearted.
Oh, see.
I was like, fuck.
You know what that is? They're just trying to get signed by her.
Mm.
They're cheering for anything she does.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. I'm trying to get signed by her.
Like, no, but
Oh,
that is so funny though,
Yeah.
because and it's not that serious. I'm
No.
like, it's barely even a competition. It's like, oh, it would be
Yeah,
fun
but-
to give
but you
somebody
know-
extra stuff.
But
like,
you know every single one of those people know exactly the grade they got when they leave. Because
Oh,
they're
like they
performers.
remember.
If
Yeah,
somebody gave me
sure.
a C, I'd be like, oh, that motherfucker gave me a C. I'll never forget that shit.
Yeah, Larry was like ready to cut some tires.
Yeah, and I did not want to do that. I was like, fuck. It was my first one, and I was like, I guess I'll jump on the grenade.
I primed
love
you
it.
for that. I got everyone booing you early.
He booed me at wrestling, and I was the good guy.
Oh, I love it.
I was confused. I was all right. I was
Yeah.
I was following the storyline.
Well, we have
I thought I was
shots. We have
supposed to be
shots of
booing
Malort to do, and then we're going to talk some more
Ooh,
Ahhlmaa's
yeah.
Play Cabaret.
Oh, this is the time.
Malort.
Moment, girl.
you. Oh,
I like how you had to leave Chicago.
You guys don't see this in camera, but right over there by him, them had the so
So now, yeah, that's the flag they fly for the Cubs when they win. Because back in the day, they only did day games because they didn't have lights.
right.
So if you were on the L train and you were, flying by Wrigley and you saw
Sure.
the white flag with a W on it, you knew the Cubs won that day. So that's why I'm a Chicago. I'm a Cubs fan.
Okay,
So I've never lived there, and everybody's like, but I grew up with WGN,
sure.
and I was at the last Cubs game on WGN, and I didn't even know it. I just went to the
That's
Cubs
wild.
game, and they were like, it's our final game on WGN, and I was like, holy shit, I'm here.
I didn't even know that WGN had
Yeah.
played sports. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, Cubs. Because that was all that was on TV, and so that's what I was like.
Oh, nice.
There we go.
So I shouldn't say that Chris sucks. No.
No, oh dang it. So let's toast the 1-year anniversary of the Electric Playhouse
Thank you.
drag
Thank
brunch.
you.
Yes,
And cheers
what a
to the
good
rest of the
cheers.
cast. If you guys are watching, we love you.
Right.
Couldn't be there without.
Live.
Cheers.
All right.
All right, here we go.
And I try to put a camera on the person who's new at this so that they can see their face.
It's the after.
Woo!
You've upset
See,
the dog.
I know. I'm kind of upset too. I'm trying to be brave here.
Hey.
Okay, so initially you taste pickles. I taste pickles.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
And then you get a finish of like, what is it called? There's a liqueur that it's so dry.
Oh yeah.
It's like, it's like pickle juice mixed with Campari. I mean, this cringy face has nothing to do with how much I enjoy. It was so good. You guys need to sponsor this show. Yeah. No, it's literally. I could probably do shots of that. How strong is it?
Wow. It's very light.
it's like 30%.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
well, then
really?
it's-
It
yeah.
tastes bad.
Yeah,
I always thought we were like earning the.
That's
No.
kind of how I felt about it. I'm like, if it's strong, like, you know how, like, I don't know if you guys have ever had true moonshine.
Yes.
I've done shows in the
Yes.
South, and
and we're not talking about the shit that they call moonshine and they sell it at the liquor
Correct.
store. I'm talking somebody brings a jug with a goddamn cork in it.
correct.
And you talk about burns all the way down.
Yep.
And then takes your nose hairs with it.
Yep. And I've only tried it out of a mason jar.
Yep. Oh yeah.
That's usually how it's served.
I mean, I think they told us in the song, I get my corn from a jar. So yeah.
Oh, see, so
Yeah.
I was authentically having
Yep.
some moonshine. It's similar, but you know, at least at the end of it, that it was worth it because you're going to be fucked up.
Yep.
You know.
Oh,
So
you are.
hey.
So we have a question. Duke City Warrior says, "How long does it take you to be in full drag?"
For me, it takes me about 3 hours.
Shit.
3 hours, and that doesn't include shaving. But
Yeah.
it's just the makeup and the padding and the gluing all the things.
Right.
And 3 hours.
Alma,
Wow.
how long does it take you?
Yeah, probably 3 hours. I think I've done it before in like as little as an hour when it's like I have to. Actually, I did it in 20 minutes one time whenever I like had a thing.
Wow.
That's
and
wild.
I ran home. Yeah, it was like super. I was just like, But but
You had like a handkerchief and you just put it on your face and then pulled it off and
Literally.
it was like there.
it was
Right.
for like a debate viewing party, and so I was coming from work, and debate started at like 7 or something, and so I ran home.
You needed to be
and I
in
drew
full
like
drag
red
for-
lines. Oh yeah, well it was like the View, and it was like we were,
okay.
not literally the View, but you know,
Yeah.
and we did like commentary.
Okay.
Yeah, in drag.
All right.
But anyway, but
3
I like
hours.
to give myself 3 hours because otherwise you
Well,
can reach
and then
panic.
and then for you have to plan out like 2 different looks for each one of your shows.
Oh yeah,
and then
well,
you had 9.
I'm like, she's got like,
Yeah.
because Vanessa's better than I am because she makes sure to have a walk around.
Yeah.
For beginning, for end, like it's
Wow.
a new look every time you see her out, which is like something I've been trying to get better at.
Thank you. It's funny as I joke with people all the time. I was just like, when I first started doing drag, I quickly off the bat was trying to. That's actually how I joined the film industry. Is I did drag first, and I started making my own costumes. A colleague of mine, a friend of mine, was just like, "Hey, you need to do this. You need to come and do what I do," and that's how I started. With that being said, it's like 14 years later. I'm like, God, I was really fucked up by making that part of my brand, because now it's like a lot of effort, and I was really because it's part of my brand at this point.
Duke
It's like
City
you kinda
Ware
have to
says
give up.
that's how long it takes her to do her hair, but then she says
Oh.
it still looks fucked. It looks bad. I say fucked up. It looks bad.
Well, if you do your hair before you put it on your head, it's you can keep it clean.
Yeah, it takes a little longer, but you can make it a. Not me being
So
lopsided.
other than that act, who was your other favorite acts you've seen?
Oh, Jim was so good.
I mean,
I love
Drew's-
Junie Burr and me,
Drew-
which is so.
Junie's always fabulous.
Yeah.
She's so good. Drewa.
Drew's mom was. I don't remember her name.
Yeah,
His
my
mom was
co-host.
amazing.
I think she
Yeah.
did a. It's one of those songs where it's like it sounds like it's gonna be so sweet, and then she's like, "Oh, that guy's an asshole, and that girl's a bitch."
Yeah.
And so she's like singing
Like,
this
she's
like
winning
sweet
right off the bat.
sounding
he's
song.
just belting it out. And the best part for me is like I get a direct view of her looking at his mom, and he's like so like just beaming.
That's
and then
awesome.
she's singing and he's mouthing the words and like
Yeah.
and it was this like amazing like like wow, like
That's cool.
you see where he got his background, because he's a stage kid. He's like
Yeah.
he's a theater kid,
Right.
and like you're like, oh yeah, it runs in the family.
Mhm.
And so it was so great because it almost seemed like they were like, I don't know how long you booked her before, like she could have just like been in the audience and be like, I'm not ready to prepare, and then just grab the microphone and start. Yeah.
Don't make me sing.
Yeah.
Don't
Literally,
make me
we're like,
sing.
"Do it, girl." You're like, and she knew exactly what she was gonna do.
Like Jenna from 30 Rock. She's like, I can't.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
I think that's one cool thing is like as you drag is more mainstream, that's what's really cool is seeing the parents and the supportive
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I know that your parents have been at all your shows, and my mom is always beaming in the front row.
Right.
And so it makes it that much more special. I think that supportive parents, I consistently tell people this. I'm like, let your kids explore, because that's the best way that they're going to be amazing artists and amazing humans in general, is if
Sure.
you let them
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
express themselves authentically.
Well,
Yeah.
So
and the funny thing too for me is like I find that like I get the vibe sometimes where like I have to be the villain because I'm the heterosexual white guy that's over on the side judging these people, and like there will be like like was the last one, there was a lesbian couple sitting right next to me, and like I said something and they're like, well, of course, like you didn't get it.
you have a lot of judgmental people in your audience.
I
Ahhlmaa.
guess
My
so.
God, they're
There's some,
coming
yeah.
for people.
Just for the judges though, because
Yeah.
the performers are always like, "Oh my god, the most supportive
Yeah,
crowd." It's
right.
so
Oh,
sweet, but
dude,
because they're defending the performers.
It gets so amped in there. Like I have the 2 different things I do. I do the pro wrestling and I do this. And I can't tell, like, because the El Rey will get ridiculously loud when like Hobo
yeah.
Hank comes out. Like I'll have my headphones on and a microphone, and I have to cover the microphone because I can't hear. because the crowd is so big. Well, like when we're doing the cabaret, like if I'm in the back and Ahhlmaa's on stage, you can almost sometimes not hear the words and stuff. You're
Right.
like, holy cow, it's loud out there. And the vibe is huge. And so it's kind of awesome, like when you're on stage, because when I tell people I'm a judge, they just think like I'm in the back and I'm just like silently, and I'm like, no, it's like America's Got Talent style. We're like in the front.
Yeah.
And my friends finally went, and they're like, we're gonna try to go to everyone. I was like, see, I've been telling you guys to go to this. It's like so much fun. It's so ridiculous. It's so over the top. There's alcohol. And people just really get into it, and I love that about it.
That's right. Have you ever wanted to boo Chris Burnett? Come to these
Yeah,
shows.
do it. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, when we come out, like the first edition, we didn't do this. We started out. I think the first two.
Yeah, we added you were talking about the window?
Yeah. So we now come, like if you go to the box or the Dry Heat Comedy, there's a door that we come out, and it has a like clouded glass. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah,
like
foggy
foggy glass. So they shine a light from behind us so that we can kind of see our silhouette.
Me back there. I'm holding a light just like
Yeah, it's literally Ahhlmaa, and every time I have to tell someone else to get out of the way, and they're like, "What?" And I'm all, "Move out of the way."
You're like, this
And
is my moment.
Sarah does like hand puppets, and then Carissa dances, and I just walk up and I move to the side and I put my thumbs up, and then I put a thumbs down.
Very Simon Cowell.
Before
Very
I
Simon.
come, yeah. So I mean, if you're going to be a villain, if everyone's going to say you're the villain, then you have to lean into it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's always the dichotomy of it all.
Do you want to be Luke Skywalker, or do you want to be Darth Vader? Like that's the end of the day, right?
I think that's a big question in life.
I think everyone wanted to be Han Solo, right?
Well, there's that too. That's the anti-hero.
That's boring.
Well, in wrestling, and like we have a guy, and his name is Matthew Robles, and he needs to be in the WWE and like the higher ups. He's not a wrestler; he's just a manager, right? And he comes to the ring, and he has a fist ring, and it says heel on it.
Okay.
Because that's what you call, and he wears a 3-piece suit, and he looks like he's like string bean, scrawny guy, and he's got the 5 o'clock shadow, and he wears sunglasses, and he comes out, and he's like, I am the federal commissioner of sports entertainment as appointed by Donald Trump when he was the president. And of course, right away, everyone's like, fuck you. And then he does the thing where like when people start booing, he stops and he like turns his whole body and like looks at him and points, and he's like, stop it, stop. He's like, well, your mom swallows, because they're like, you stuck, and
this is drag.
People get so amped up about him. And like, I got to work with him a couple of times, and it was like the dude's been doing it like 20 something years. Mm-hmm. And in the 2 different times I worked with him, I learned immense amounts of things. So we were in the ring, and one of the times, and we're like going, because I was the commissioner, and he's the evil guy that's like there to like get rid of me so that he can his faction could do whatever. So he's in the ring, and he's got the microphone, and he's like screaming about how stupid I am and all these things. And then he puts the microphone down, and he like walks up and gets nose to nose with me, and he goes, grab the microphone out of my hand, jerk it. And I'm like, grab it and jerk it, and of course the crowd cheers. And I'm like, wow, that was pretty cool. Well, then like we had to have a match because I was leaving, and so I had to lose. Like my wrestler had to lose to his wrestler so that I could be fired. And I'm outside the ring, and I'm pacing around, and then he comes running over to me, pointing, and he's screaming, and he grabs my shirt and he yanks me to him, and he goes, there's water on the floor, don't slip on it, it's right over there. And then he throws me away, and he screams some more, and like I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool,
Consummate
Really watching out for me.
yeah. And of course, like to the audience, they're like, wonder what he said to him, and it's like
It's all just some stage
Yeah.
directions.
stage direction.
Stage
And
directions.
so then like in the build up to us like setting up the match of me getting fired, they were like, well, we'll have a one-on-one with you guys in the ring, and he'll just yell at you. And I was like, okay, hold on. Now, my white glasses are my brand, right?
Right.
So this is pair number 3. I have pair number 4 that are on the way because these are scratched. And because that's what you do, right?
Right.
And so I was like, okay, I want him to take my glasses off and break them and throw them in the crowd. And they're like, well, it's your glasses. I was like, no, I have an older pair that I don't wear anymore. And they're like, oh, really? So this video of this. So like I like he's yelling at me, and then I take the microphone him, and I'm about to talk. And as I'm about to talk, he grabs my glasses off my face and just fucking mangles them and throws them in the crowd. And like everybody's like, boo, boo. You can't do that. Like it was like this moment. Like all of a sudden everybody was like, oh my God. Like
Got real.
that dude, that he can't see now. So then like I step back and like I like kind of like rub my face like, wow, you just did that. And I reach into my pocket and I pull out another pair and I put them on. And the crowd goes crazy, right? Like they're just tissue, like, you know.
Just
I love
And
that.
then I'm like, you're on.
I
Yeah.
love it. True tea about the wrestling
and
gig.
he every time I see him, he's like that glasses thing is the best thing I've ever done in wrestling. He's like, I can't believe we did that. I was like, wasn't it great? And people to this day, they're like, they'll come up and they've only seen half of it, and they're like, you got your glasses back, and I'm like, what? And they're like, that guy broke them, and I'm like, well, yeah, I had another pair. Did you not watch the
You're
rest
like
of the
day
thing?
of.
Right.
Like it's
Like,
it's
it
old
happened
news.
pretty
Yeah.
much right away.
Yeah,
You gotta-
and that's performance, you know.
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
And
Like,
they,
we got to figure out your iconic
Yeah.
thing for somebody to break, and
Yeah.
you'd be like, "Surprise! I have another."
yeah, thank you.
Somebody
I was
break in
gonna
half.
I was gonna throw those away anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
Right?
And
Those ones were old.
and it's funny because like when you go to the booker or the whoever the producer,
the venue, or,
we call him
yeah.
a booker. Well, no,
Okay.
the guy who like writes the
Okay,
show.
okay.
They call him the booker in wrestling. They get bombarded by everyone who's like, I got an idea. Da-da. So it's like I didn't want to propose anything, but then I was like, okay, they're telling me like what we're gonna do, and I said, look, can I just throw this out there? And they were like, what? I was like, he should take off my glasses and break them and throw them in the crowd. And the booker, instead of going, he goes, yeah. Let's do that.
He knew.
He's like, you want to do that? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I have an old pair, and I was like, we can totally do it. And he was like, yeah,
That's such
This
a
is gonna be
moment.
money.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah. They say Matthew makes it easy to hate him anytime he steps through the curtain, and he's a beloved
They
guy.
said they know who you're talking about.
He's such a nice like dude in the back. He's so he's full of like he's so good at what he does, and you're just like I hate him when he's performing, and I'm like, I know he's a nice guy.
Even with
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like it's the opposite with some
Yeah.
drag queens in town. It's just like, no, like you like what they do on stage, but you hate
Yeah.
them off the song.
yeah,
Oh, weird.
you're so sweet, and then backstage they're like, honestly, like, blah, blah. You're like, whoa,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
or
true.
it's like, yeah, I mean, any like good performer, it's
Yeah.
like a full transformation where it's like,
Isn't it? Yeah.
oh, this is what you're like outside of that. Like, oh, that is
Yeah.
a fully realized character.
Do you
Like,
guys have to take time before you go like perform, or do you need like moments where you like
To get into character.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
I would say that like it happens during the process of getting ready more
Yeah.
so. You know, and especially like Electric Playhouse is kind of wild. It's kind of specific just because I am the show director. So I'm usually like, I always encourage the girls to go out and mingle. So come in a
Yeah.
mingling outfit before we go backstage to like change into our performance outfits. So it's really like one of those things where I'm like doing 50 things like at once, and then it's like, oh shit, I need to go and put on my hosting hat now. I need to go be funny. So that's initially, you know,
She will
so
fully
it takes a minute.
dance and sing live, and then get right on the mic to introduce the next girl.
Wow.
That's the gag about like I'm always blown away
it's
by
so
that.
it's
you.
so
But, like,
crazy what you guys do.
Yeah, I like to take a moment because I get the benefit of, well, at least in this. I mean, in the cabaret, I have Drew to help me, but it is like that thing of the quick turnaround where now,
Oh, yeah,
now I'm
sure.
hosting. But
And you
But
have
I
to-
do love to
sometimes
have a
you
moment
to take
of,
your
like-
breath. You're like, I got to take a breath for a second.
yeah, well, it's like, ooh, what's the
Yeah.
moment I start at?
What's the deal with Drew? How long have you guys like known each other?
I've known Drew since third grade.
Because like the chemistry, like okay,
Oh, good.
and we all know this because of who we are. You can't teach chemistry.
No.
you can't create chemistry. It's just there or it's not.
Correct.
yeah.
And Drew, like I've had many co-hosts, and like Smiley and I've been together so long that like
10
Yeah.
years?
10 years, and like Billy was on the show for like 12. And so if Billy shows back up and he does a co-host gig, he comes back in and pops in. He and I and Smiley can just fire out a whole podcast and like
Nice.
and not talk over each other and just bang 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 bang. Fred and I, the guys who do we do the wrestling commentary together. Our chemistry is really good because we've done radio and podcasting for so many years. We know not to step all over each other. And like you and Drew, like Drew's like, okay, Ahhlmaa needs a minute. Boom, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna, and it's so cool, like how you guys have that dichotomy like together, like.
Thanks.
And it's a great thing. It's super cool.
Yeah.
It's been this whole like experience of coming back and my experience with the box and all of that has been so healing and like really just a beautiful marriage of who I became as an artist when I went to Chicago and who I was growing up. And it's like, for so long, it was really lonely and like weird because all the people who knew me best didn't ever see me in drag.
Oh, wow.
And so like, cause they're all back in Albuquerque and like all my friends in Chicago either would be like, drag's not really my thing and wouldn't come out, or like I'd be really close and then they'd move away and, and so combining like having that sort of sit together and then doing this full show with Drew, he's straight and like, I've known him since 3rd grade and I've like been close with his sister and his mom. And like, it's just, it heals those parts that like when we were talking about earlier, like where I get overthink being around kids or whatever. I'm like, no, like these are the people who have known me since I was a kid and they're like celebrating and excited about who I am now. Like, it's just a really special thing. So, I've been so grateful for Drew. He's the organized one. So
you need one of those for sure.
Oh yeah. He overthinks it sometimes, and I'm like, Drew, we can calm down about it, and so we balance each other well. So I'm glad that reads.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And now let's get to the bad part. So backstage, Ahhlmaa is the biggest. I'm just kidding.
I was like, tell me. I'm like,
I'm just kidding.
I need a little bit of fear because
it's
the
like,
girls here know that they're like, I'm such a little. I'll be like, I'm so sorry. And
She is. She really is.
almost like throwing shit. She's all, this isn't lemonade from blah blah blah. Fuck this.
I remember the first time. I want to say it was when we did Ex Novo for Pride. That Ahhlmaa first started, like I'll say attempting to come back at me. It was just really funny because Ahhlmaa has always been like very supportive and like oh, I love you, Vanessa. I love your work. I love blah blah blah. And I just remember the first time we were backstage and I was like talking shit and she talked shit back and I was all, oh. Okay, try that again, bitch. Let's do this. And
did
so
you become more friends after that?
I think, I always love when I learn more about people because, it's one thing. Listen, everyone loves when someone appreciates what you do, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone loves when someone says, hey, listen, I follow you. I watch you. I want to be part of your work and I want to collaborate with you and all these things.
Right.
But ultimately, like that can only go so far. Ultimately, you want to see the person. You want to meet the person you're working with. You want to start developing real friendships and real work and real art. And you can't do that until you actually get to start knowing people. And I think that I remember the first time I saw Ahhlmaa, it was at the Albuquerque Social Club. And I looked at her costume and I was just like, who that be? Like I was just like, this bitch is polished, and when you see a new queen, that it's a lot of work. Like you said, not only is it a lot of work for someone that's been doing it for 14 years, but as a new queen,
the game.
Yeah, and I often forget, oh shit, it does take a lot of work. So you see the new girls and you know that, okay, she's a new girl. When I saw Ahhlmaa, I was just like, she's not new. I was like, who is this girl? Because her body was on point. That's one thing that's a big piece of drag is the padding and all the cinchers and all the undergarments and all the things to make your body look right. And I saw her and I was just like, okay, who's she? And then she performed and I was like, okay. And so it was just natural that eventually we would start working together. It's been fun because once we broke through that barrier of initially booking her she was initially a guest artist on Electric Playhouse when one of my resident cast members needed to take the month off. And so she came in as a guest performer to cover that shift. And she was fabulous. And when we needed to bring someone in permanently, it was just natural that we brought in Ahhlmaa. And specifically, like, not only do you want the art, not only do you want the consistency, not only do you want it to be good, but you also want it to be someone that you like working with.
Oh, for sure.
You know, that's always important. And
it's a lot of different aspects.
Absolutely. And it was very clear that she was the right choice for that. And I have to say that, like, it's always fun pulling away the layers of Ahhlmaa and learning more about her. And I'm just like, okay.
You don't want like, okay, when you have to go out and perform, you don't want in the back stage area to just fucking drama like all over
Absolutely,
the place. You don't, and it's crippling when you have that.
Yep.
And it's really interesting because, like, I mean, in other aspects of my life, I see that. And it's so interesting, and everybody's like, "Well, that's how it is," and I'm like, "Well, not in regular workplaces.
Doesn't
you don't
have to be.
Right.
No, fuck no. You
There
know,
has to be sometimes. I talk about this with Avery, like where we're like, "Girl, we're playing dress up. Like
Yeah.
it's not like we don't need to be like this. Should be a joyful thing,
Right.
And obviously, it comes with discomfort and a lot of like, it's a stressful thing to put on any type of show, even if though it is like dress up. But like, if it gets to a point where you're not enjoying it,
right?
it's more about the stress than it is about the joy, and like
Right.
then it's not. It's
Well,
like,
and
why are
there
you
always-
doing it?
Yeah. And there'll always be those moments, like when you're doing
Oh,
it,
right.
like, it's hard work. And it like, for me personally, like in 2023, I did drag for a living. That's all I did. And people are always like, you do what you love. And it's the same thing with the film industry. People are like, oh, it's so amazing. You get to do what you love. And I'm like, I do love it. But ultimately, it is work.
Yeah.
Now, finding that fine line to make work enjoyable and love what you do, it doesn't discount the fact that it's work, but it also doesn't have to discount the joy that you get from it.
Yes.
You know?
I mean, I've done this for 18 years. Smiley's done this for 10 years.
Yeah.
We make no money doing this.
That
This
is correct.
all 100%.
I
Make Topo Chico
I
though.
like to get us some sponsors.
Yeah. And like part of that, and like people are like, wow, that's weird. Like, you know, how do you not? Part of that is like, I don't want to be a slave to somebody's like, well, if we're gonna do this for you guys, we don't want you to talk about this and talk about. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I was on radio and I did it for about 3 weeks and I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, F this.
Oh yeah, I
F,
remember that.
F that.
You know,
I, like,
never mind. I don't like all this structure.
I don't like structure, and I don't like them telling me like that I did a great job. But on the next one, please don't say this, this, and this because the sponsor. Fuck that. And at the end of it all, I look back on the 18 years right now, and I look at all the things we have. Like I don't. There's you know, if there was money, I wouldn't care about it. But like the things we get to do that people let us do,
Oh, I know. Invite us to.
invite
Yeah.
us to, is
Can we
good.
drive you around the fairground, or can we drive you around the
Balloon Fiesta?
the balloon fiesta and this?
Yeah,
this little,
the guy who
golf
runs the
track?
Balloon Fiesta
Okay.
picked us up in the parking lot, drove us to like to the different restaurants, and we did shots in the back, and then we ended up in the
the Dos Equis tent.
not the beer garden the regular people are in, but the secret one
Yeah,
with the guy that they had a
the impersonator.
the impersonator that looked like the most interesting man. They had him, and you could take pictures with him. And then they were like, "Well, you can only have 3 beers when we only allow it." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Are you sure?" And I was like, and then like we ended up like making friends with the person who said that, and they were like, have as many as you want.
Totally.
Well, I
That's
mean,
the
they only
thing.
have
Go ahead.
marked down 3 beers,
Yeah.
but if they don't mark them down, I guess it never ends.
Right.
Never happened.
Yeah,
It
there's
never
so many
happened.
different. I mean, I have so many stories I could just tell about like things we've got to do,
Yeah.
you know, and people we've got to party with and hang out with, and like
Absolutely.
that's worth more than any money that anybody give me. And I have a day job
Yeah.
that pays my bills. I'm good to go.
Doing
Right,
art
yeah.
and entertainment in a smaller city, like not that this is even a small, but smaller than like
Yeah.
the big city, like it's a really special and kind
Yeah.
of like sacred space because you could be doing a really like
yeah.
top 10 podcast in Chicago,
Yeah.
and people will be like, "Who are you?" at the fair, even
Yeah.
like because it's like there's so many things going
all right,
on.
If I didn't do this
It's really
show,
special.
I wouldn't be doing your show.
Exactly.
If I didn't do this show, I wouldn't be doing the wrestling.
yeah.
Like no one would have known who I was. Like, and I wouldn't be seasoned enough to do things.
Sure.
yeah.
You know, because like
I'd still be an actor.
he'd still be an actor.
Ooh, we miss
Uh,
it.
Like Anthony Bourdain did this whole speech where he was like, you know, if you want to be a chef because you cook really good, don't do it. You know, like you're not going to make it. Like, you know, it's hard. It's hard what we do.
Yes.
hard.
It's hard to get in front of an audience of people and let everything out of you and hope that they cheer for you.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
You know, it takes a lot. They can tell you. You know,
I
vulnerable.
can't agree more. Like, and you know, one thing, like going back to the whole idea of like how the pushback that we're getting in current day when it comes
Yeah.
to drag and all those kind
Yeah.
of things, you know, for me, drag is a little bit different than it is for some girls because my brand is being on a microphone.
Right.
And so, you know, I consistently get on a microphone and I'm like, you know, talking about living your authentic self and blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, but I still have those same trials and tribulations. We all still go home and have that, you know, that imposter syndrome.
Yes.
You have all
Yes.
those reasons of being like, why are people, you know, watching? Why are people interested? And then you do a meet and greet and someone's crying to you saying that you're the reason that I'm okay with what I see in the mirror. You're the
Yes.
person, you know, you're so comfortable with your body. I'm like, absolutely not. I am not. I still go home and look in the mirror and I'm not super stoked about what I see. But if I can get on a microphone and get in front of an audience wearing something, you know, maybe that's sexy to them and it inspired them to feel good about themselves, it's that much more important.
Yeah.
It's not because I have a mansion and, you know, it's because I can represent something and
Right.
you can go to an event and get to do cool ass things because people believe in you and what you stand for.
Yes.
And so that's important.
Well,
I think.
Duke Seaver says, I'm not much of a partier, but I think doing it with Chris is what she means would be fun. I have a good time. Like, not as much as I used to because, you know, I'm older and thinner. But like, I had a good time last night, and I was a little worse for wear this morning. But it was my friend. My friend graduated as a nurse practitioner.
That's right.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
and
Come on,
and
NP.
and that's an accomplishment. So we
That's
we were there,
huge.
and some shots were had. You know, I'm not gonna say there were not shots, but I enjoy myself and I have a good time in life. But the thing is like even if I'm not on stage, and I can't speak for everyone here, but I mean I feel like maybe this is the thing. There's I'm out in public and I'm on, or I'm home and I'm not, and that's two different things.
Correct.
And sometimes I go out and I'm not on, but then I have to turn it on because people don't understand.
Absolutely.
They don't understand the off part.
Yeah.
And
They make you turn on.
when I go to
You're
Launchpad,
like, oh, it's gonna be like.
I go to
that.
Launchpad a lot, and
Hi.
yeah, Launchpad is like my home away from home, and I sit in that last booth if someone else isn't there, and I'll sit there all night and listen to music, and I may not even go watch the band because I can hear them.
Right.
And I'm there, and I want my friends to sit down with me, and I want to talk to them, and I don't necessarily want to be out amongst everyone
Mingling and conversating.
and performing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and but I still want to be out. I
Yep.
still want to be having a good time, and
This is also why Chris throws me in front of fans.
yeah, no, I've literally pushed him towards people.
He's like,
Oh,
you see
Smiley,
the sunglasses?
Take care of that guy.
Yeah,
The sunglasses are more
awesome.
exciting than the white rimmed glasses.
and you talk about Amanda, like we talk about Amanda Michonne, and like that booth is like it's kind of like a welcoming place, and like Amanda will pop over and like sit down and put her purse down. She'll be like, I'm gonna leave my purse. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. I'm like, okay. And then she'll come and sit down, and she'll be like, oh my god, it's been a rough day. And then someone will walk up, and she'll be like, oh my god, it's been hey, how are you? And she'll do the Amanda Michonne.
Yeah. Yep.
Well,
And,
especially for
yeah.
someone like Vanessa who's been doing this
Yeah.
in Albuquerque for 14 years, going to a gay bar where you're just trying to like chill and like whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
I see, like, I swear it's like a line coming up to her to be like, oh yeah, what do you think about this? Oh my gosh, blah, blah, blah. Like, and like, you can't have I would imagine you can't like go out and not
Yeah.
be conscious of like, people will know who I am. I'm going to need to engage with people. We're going to talk about future events, which are work for
Yeah.
you too.
Right.
Like, so it's a lot. Like, or Lariah talks about sometimes, because this is somebody who she like heads Equality New Mexico.
Right.
She'll go out and it's like she's trying to have a drag time,
Mm-hmm.
but all the people want to talk about politics, and she's like, I'm trying to have fun. I don't want to talk about politics.
Right.
So it's like whatever you're doing, like if people know you as a certain, it can be a lot. But sorry, you were saying
No, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Like when you were saying about just being out in public, it's wild because, you know, first of all, one thing that I learned about 5 or 6 years ago, and I think Amanda is the epitome of one of those people that can just turn it on, and I get it. And
Yeah.
I think that's
So
why
good.
we all are just like, oh,
Yeah.
we love Amanda. But it's interesting because for the longest time you would give an honest answer. How have you been? Oh, it's been a little rough. And then I realized
You
about
can't
6
do that.
years
Yeah,
ago
you
that
can't
it's
do
like
that.
no one gives a shit if I had a rough week.
No.
They want to see Vanessa Patricks.
Yes.
So I've learned instead of like I just naturally I'm just
Dance
like
for
I'm
me.
great. I'm good. I'm good. How
Yeah.
are you? I'm busy. Blah blah blah. Are you gonna come to? Am I gonna see you at the? You know, all the things. And then the flip side to that is, you know, I would say that I'm genuinely like a social person. One thing post pandemic is like I first started experiencing social anxiety for the first time in my life. And people would never guess that in a million years because I
Right.
get on a microphone. I'm like, hey, blah, 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 blah. You know, and you
But
do the
that's
song and
different.
dance.
That's different.
It is. And, you know, and so now it's just like when I'm out of drag and I'm out and about and it's like, you know, one thing is when another drag queen calls me out on a microphone when I'm out of drag and they're just like, we have Vanessa Patricks. And I'm like,
Yes.
Girl,
during a show. Yeah.
you know, it's
Yeah.
just like, I didn't, okay, hi, everybody.
Sometimes it literally
You
is
know?
dance for me. It's like, can you show us one of the? Yeah.
Ba-bum,
It's-
ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-bum.
It's very that.
And
Very
like
that.
I'll walk into like a bar and a band will be on stage and they'll be all, ladies and gentlemen, Chris from 10 Drink Minimum, and I'm like, I'm just walking into a bar, let me just walk in for a minute.
Literally.
I've seen that so many times.
Yeah, and
Literally for Chris.
Kathy Shirota says Launchpad is ever so much better when you were there. You talk about people like this is so there's a drummer in town. His name is Ryan Shirota, and Ryan like all drummers, he's in like 4 bands because there's not a lot of drummers. I met Ryan's mom and dad because they go to his shows, and you talk about a great like standing on the shoulders of giants. People who were in the scene, you know, back in the 70s and 80s, and they tell stories, and those stories are amazing and like need to be documented, and they're like Albuquerque in the 70s and 80s, you know, and that's the kind of shit I want to just sit there and chill. And like you talk about the imposter syndrome, I love talking about imposter syndrome, and every time I do on this show, someone reaches out and they're like, I'm so glad you talked about that because I feel that so much, whether it's in performance or the job you go to every day where you fucking do Excel spreadsheets.
Sure.
People are like, I don't know why they pay me a check. Well, I mean, there is a reason. And like, as a performer, we all feel it, whether we want to say we do or not. And it took me a long time to figure that out. And I figured it out doing this show. Because people will be like, thank you for having me on the show. I'm like, of course I had you on the show. And they're like, well, I didn't know if I was, I'm like, well, why would you not be,
Yeah.
I've realized
Yeah.
so much of life, and especially entertainment, and like politics and everything is really about audacity. If you're the person who like, and oftentimes it ends up being really like annoying and dumb people who get positions of power because they don't have the awareness of the limits of their skills. They're just like, of course I'm gonna host, or like, of course I'm gonna like run my own show, and then you're like, oh wait, but you're not backing this up, like, but if you just have the audacity to be like, yeah, that's me. I'm gonna run it.
Yes.
I'm gonna do it myself.
Well,
That's
and-
all it takes, because people will be like, "Oh yeah, I guess you are," because you seem
Yeah.
like confident enough.
And another piece of that is that you are allowed to feel both of those things.
Yeah.
You're allowed to be aware of your accomplishments. You're allowed to be proud of yourself and be aware that, yeah, I have done this. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say my age, but I am older of sorts. And it's like at the point of like having success and having things that I'm proud of that have happened in the recent years, I have to go back and look in the mirror and say, guess what? When they said you need to pay your dues, this is what they meant.
Yeah.
Look in the mirror and acknowledge how much you've worked your ass off for the last 30 years to get where you're at. So you are allowed to be proud of those things.
Right.
You are allowed to acknowledge, yes, I am good at what I do.
And you
that
have
doesn't
to be
mean
successful.
that people are not going to that you don't also look in the mirror on an off day and say, why the fuck am I here?
Yes.
And why do I have a voice? And why are people listening?
Right.
You know, and I think that that's one big thing. I'm a big avid therapist. I go to I see a therapist. I think everyone should see a therapist. I think that it's important. So that's one thing that I like try to normalize, because I think a lot of people look at me and they're like, you're so confident and you're so this and you're so that. I'm like, no, that's what the superhero suit gives me.
Yes.
That's what this superhero suit gives me. That doesn't mean that I'm that person. And so I'd like to be very transparent when it comes to that and tell people, you're not the only person that struggles with insecurity, with not knowing why you do what you do, with not feeling good enough, with not feeling relevant or seen. It's like, I think that even people that we look up to have to struggle with those same things. And the big celebrities, the more recognition you get, the more that people know you for a brand, or know you for being bubbly, or being Amanda Michon, or being all those people, you struggle with imposter syndrome even more. Because then all of a sudden you're expected to be something that you built. And now it's like, I spent all my time and my effort building this brand and building this, and now I have to be that.
Or you can build yourself into a corner. I mean, you can.
Yeah.
Very, very that.
Well, I found in, like, if someone's like, well, I get asked for advice, and like, and I find that when people ask for advice, a lot of times they don't want advice. They want you to tell them the thing they want to hear, which is whatever. But like for me, when I tell people, like, the thing that changed my life 100% is, like, a lot of times people would be like, not sideline people that were like, hey, you know what you should do? Because there's those people by the droves.
Oh yeah.
But like when somebody would come in of like power and have like an opportunity, they would, hey, what about this? What do you think of this? And a lot of times back in the day, I'd be like, oh, no, I can't do that. Like, there's no way I could do that. And for me, it was like, I don't think I could accomplish that.
Right.
It was the moment I was like, you know what? I'm going to say yes to this opportunity because it may never come again.
Yep.
And then I'm going to figure it out.
Yep.
And then every time I did that, I figured it out.
Oh yeah.
Fake it till you make it.
Boom, 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 boom,
My
boom.
favorite. Yeah.
Exactly. And like, so I tell people, instead of saying no,
That's my whole career. Fake it till you make it.
because it's that imposter syndrome. That imposter syndrome kicks in and it goes, well, you can't possibly do that. You don't have the ability to do that. How could you actually accomplish that? And like the things that this dude and I have done, like for a year, we did this show in a bar live.
Yeah.
No one else had ever done that before. I don't think, you know,
I wasn't even on the
this
microphone.
was 10 years ago. This was
Just
10 years ago.
screaming.
We live streamed this show 10 years ago from a bar every Sunday night.
I love that.
You know, and I'll never forget, there was a riot going on down the street, and the cops were like driving
Tear gas.
Tear gas.
It was
Like,
crazy.
they were driving behind
Live
us
reporting.
while I'm talking to the
Who was our guest?
it was the Choco Taco guys.
That's right.
They're over here at the Hispanic Community Center. The
ones that have the truck, the Taco Chacos.
Yes, yes.
Oh, they're so good.
Gosh, and like I'm like, so the Choco Tacos, behind us, and finally I was like, look, I gotta break character here. There's like a whole
whole thing going on right behind us. There's like a glass window.
It was the art bar. It was the art bar. It's the empty building that's across from the box.
Yeah, it used to be art bar. Yeah,
and where that window is on the corner, that's where we would do our show every Sunday night. And and
it's like, is there like horses and tear gas outside? Like I think the world is ending, Chris.
Yeah, like literally, and we had the feed. We had a projector to the left of us, and we had the live news feed up there. And there's like cops in like riot gear with shielding, and we're like,
just like 2
and we're
blocks away from us.
we're like, so the milkshakes, how good?
Oh my god,
dang.
Choco, totally unserious. It like,
but it's one of those things where like when people come with when you get good enough, people see it, but the hard part is like, some people, they rise to the occasion or they wither, and you have to like make that decision for yourself. Am I going to try this and fail, or try this and succeed? Either way, I learned something in the process.
Yeah.
But if I don't try it, I learn nothing.
Correct.
And that's the truth of it.
Chris, how did you hire me on this show?
So James, this is a funny story. James came over to my house like after a night at the bar of drinking, and we're at my house like because the bar's closed, so we're like
After party.
2:30 in the morning, and I see him like do this weird walk that he can turn his feet
Oh, yeah.
completely sideways.
I put my I inverted my legs like a little grasshopper.
And then James is up there and he's talking to me and he's like, "Yeah, I have a associate's degree in this and an associate's degree in that." And I was like, and I'm drunk and I'm like, "This guy seems kind of smart." And I'm like, "See, you've watched me like produce this show while we sit here and like I'm like
Yeah.
hosting and I'm doing all this. So I've always done this, but like whenever we had to do the show live in front of an audience, I can't really do this."
Yeah, he's not. There's no sound board next to
Yeah,
him. There's
yeah. So it was more of like a Today Show or Tonight Show or whatever, like where we were on a couch. And so I was like, I need somebody to run all of this. So like our friend Stu did it, and I love Stu to death, but I can't work with Stu.
Nice thing, yeah.
And so like I was like, well, this guy could probably do it. And so I brought him in, and I
that's
taught him.
literally that's literally how he asked me. I was like, "Do you think you can do this?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I can probably do that."
He's like, yeah, man, I know how to use a computer.
Yeah, that's
And,
I
and
I figured
Pressed
it
a
out.
button or two before.
And so for like 2 weeks, like he was just off to the side and doing all the this stuff. And in like the third week, like we had microphone trouble like the second week. So I was like, well, I want to bring extra microphones. And we set up too many microphones, and Billy was like, well, what do I do with this other one? I was like, I don't know, just give it to Smiley. And so he can have it. And then he was like the off-camera guy.
I love it.
And now he's the co-host. Like he's the full-blown, he's the Ed McMahon.
Yeah,
It's your big moment.
I
My
know.
favorite like framing of this idea of
Yeah.
like going, like of doing things when you're.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to not just say it. Is go before you're ready. That was
Yeah.
something that they said a lot in college for me because I studied theater directing back in the day. Where it's because it is a lot of just like taking that first step, even if like.
Yep.
I don't think I know the final step or whatever.
Right,
Like,
right.
It's just getting moving, and that's literally what it takes to have the success. Is just starting.
Well, and
Anyway.
sometimes you have the idea,
Sure.
and then you have the final step in your mind, and then by
Right.
the time you get there, it's changed, and you're like, you know what? That worked. Like,
Yeah.
fuck that. That
And
was
I think
great.
that applies to everything in life, right?
Yeah,
it's
fuck
not
yeah.
just entertainment. It could be relationships. It could be, oh, I think I'm going to live in Albuquerque. I think I'm going to live in New York. I'm going to
Right.
retire in I never thought I was going to come back to my hometown.
Right.
And who knew that I always tell people that when I lived in New York, you as an actor, you have to be a little bit self-absorbed because you are your brand, right?
Yes.
And so my entire life in New York was me, because I was what I was selling. And it's wild that now I live back in New Mexico and I'm in my hometown, and all of a sudden I'm like, involved with like politics in a way, and involved I don't consider myself a politician, but you have to be involved with what's going around you. You have
Yes.
to be involved with what's important and what you stand for. And Vanessa Patricks, the character I created, has allowed me to be something for my community and my hometown in a way that I don't think I would have ever seen that in New York. And I think that that's important, is just to have that, that root
Yeah.
of why you're doing something, because you don't know what's going to be the finish line.
No.
And I consistently tell people that, I feel like a lot of people always ask me, like, I can't figure out how to get out of this writing block, a musician, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, stop looking at the finish line. They're like, well,
Right.
I just feel like I need to write because these people expect me to write this way and a song about this or that, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, stop thinking about what people are looking at and just be authentic to what you want to create. And then the way that people absorb it and the way that people intake it is always going to be different. And whether it's good or bad, make it and then let it into the universe. And then you can figure out what comes from that.
Yeah. That is great.
What a little
Everything
button.
everything you just said is amazing right there. That is everything that is right.
Yeah, that is spot on.
God dang, that was fucking good.
Blonde hair, it's
the
just gives me
blonde.
all the knowledge.
And here's the finale.
And it's like one of those things, like, okay, like you guys asked me to be a judge, and I was supposed to be a judge that show, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm going to come in and I'm going to have fun with this as much as I can. And then you guys, you should do it every time. I was like, I would love that. This would be amazing.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't know. We had no idea Like, right?
Yeah, they were like, Chris Burnett, he's the mayor of downtown, kind of, and like he's the. They're like, but don't call him that because he doesn't like to officially be the mayor of downtown. Blah blah blah. Like I was like, who is this guy?
I fucking love it. But
a perfect match, and all the judges work together. Anyway,
yeah,
Shaking hands and kissing babies.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's one of those things where like I've never like so many times in my life people have tried to give me a nickname and they just don't stick. They just don't work. And there's an actual story behind the mayor of downtown thing. I work a day job as like a business person, IT professional. And every once in a while I'll be like, hey, you guys want to go out? And the people will be like, you know what's going on, at work. They're like, you're a guy who knows what's going on. So I would take my coworkers out. And one time I took my coworkers downtown. And we're walking downtown and people are like, I'm literally like, talking to people like everywhere we're walking. There's people that are like Chris, and I'm like shaking their hand and saying hi. Someone drove by and yelled my name from a car, and my friend, one of my coworkers, goes, "Jesus Christ, you're like the mayor of downtown." And so then we're at another time. We're at it's called Juno now. Do you know the brewery? It's Juno. It's by Hollow Spirits.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So we're there, and like they're like, "Oh, this is kind of dead. What else is going on tonight?" And I was like, "Well, the red light cameras are playing at Rio Bravo," and they're like, "Who are they?" And I'm like, "Well, they're a band. And they're pretty good." So they're like, "Okay." So there's like 4 or 5 of us, and we like drive over there, and we walk in, and the guy who called me the mayor of downtown goes, "Watch, I bet the band stops." He's like, "Wouldn't it be funny if they just stop playing and say, 'Oh, is Chris Burnett here?'" And they don't stop playing, but the song ends, and Amanda Michonne goes, "Is that Chris Burnett? Is Chris Burnett here?" And Barney Lopez goes, "Chris Burnett?" And then Chris Walsh at the time is like, "Oh, Chris Burnett's here." And the whole audience turns and looks at me, and I just kind of wave. And then they go back to start playing, and my coworker's like, "Jesus Christ, you are the mayor of downtown." And that's where it all came from.
It's
And so
undeniable.
it just escalated from there.
Yes, Albuquerque scene goals. How did I get episode 3 and you didn't?
I
What
don't
the
know.
hell?
It's fine.
Literally,
I'm not even the mayor. It's the hair. It's the hair that got me
Well,
the gig.
I didn't have good venues for them to go to. The guy's like, "Well, we can't just go and like point at things." And I was like, and I was like, "Yes, we can."
you need to go to your booth at the launch pad.
Right. Exactly.
Like, this is my booth. The mayor booth.
Amanda comes
well,
here.
I wanted
Oh,
her
yeah.
to do the wrestling, and
It's true. Like
Oh, yeah.
if I ever get the launch pad before Chris, I'll be like, I'll go ahead and get his booth.
he
for him.
knows.
Deserve it.
And they know. And then somebody like apologized. Like, "Are we sitting?" I was like, "It's fine. I'll sit in the one next to you and wait till you go to the bathroom. Then I'll take it."
Yeah, and then
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
then we'll take that booth.
You have
Yeah.
some cool.
I'm not quite as nice about my dressing spot at Social Club.
Oh, yeah.
I'm always just like 14 years, y'all. That's reserved for me.
You're all move.
It's a comfort thing, right?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It's the closest thing to the stage entrance.
Ah.
So it's like when I'm hosting, it's like I can come check myself really quick and then run straight to the stage.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I'm going to call it logistics.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with being bougie. It's just,
Oh, dude,
you know,
being bougie is
It's
amazing,
respect.
though. I love being bougie about
Yeah, that's not a
some
bad thing
things.
to be bougie.
that's why you wear white glasses.
That's fucking A, right? And there's another dude who wears them, and he apologizes every time. He's like, "You want me to take them off?" I was like, "No."
You want me to take them? I'll be blind for you, Chris.
That's a blind. That's a brand.
You step on them right now in front of me. You drive home blind.
Yeah, I'm gonna snap them in half, just like they did to you.
Yes. All right. I think
All right.
we've come to the end of this show. What a great show, though. By the way,
Oh yeah,
I
for
love
sure.
this one. It's always like if people are always like, "How do you script that out?" I'm like, we don't script anything out
That's the whole point.
because when you bring in people that are amazing, like you just can have a conversation and it just rolls and it goes where it goes, and usually, especially today, amazing places. So,
I was saying to Vanessa, I'm like, y'all are both such great conversationalists.
Yeah.
It's a really good time here.
isn't it?
It's,
Well,
it's what comes with old age.
Lots of stuff to reference.
I'm only 30.
Me
Just
too,
kidding.
Chris.
I'm just kidding.
Me too.
I was gonna say,
It's like the
Sure
35th
enough.
anniversary of the show, and you're like, yeah, I started when I was 5.
I have a big birthday this next coming one, and it's big.
Well,
The 50.
oh, shit.
Yeah.
See,
shit.
You're a little bit ahead of me. See, I thought we were the same age.
No.
So,
Oh no, but
I'm
no.
right behind you.
I'll tell the story real quick. But like, I was at Echoes one night, and there was a guy playing drums, and I was like, "Wow, he got an old drummer in the band." and he looked really like in his like late 60s, early 70s. And he comes off stage and he's like talking to me and he's like kind of hunched over and he's like, yeah, man, I had a heart attack. They said that 3 of my 4 arteries were clogged. They said the Widowmaker was 98% clogged. The doctor was like, you're lucky to be alive. And I'm like, man, this poor old guy. And then he's like, yeah, man. He's like, and I turn 50 next year. And I was like, we're the same age. Like in my mind, I'm like, and I didn't say it out loud. I was just like, what the fuck?
See, when you look good for your age, that's when you want people to know it. Because then people are like, wow.
Well, so then finally I was like, so do you smoke? And he goes, oh, I smoke all the time. And I was like, okay, thank God. Like,
There's got to be something. There's got to be something.
What happened here, man? I was like, yeah, because I don't feel like I look like, and I went over to people. I was like, hey, do I look like that guy over there? Do I look as old as that guy? And they were like, no, he looks way older. I was like, phew.
Oh, man.
I can't look that bad, can I? Yeah.
I love doing that at work because I work at a liquor store, so I get to see everyone's IDs, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
I'm 4 years older than you. I'm looking good. You look like you're like halfway past dead.
I want to tell the people like moisturizer, my friend.
Very that.
Moisturizer.
Absolutely.
Lotion.
Moisturizer is the key.
Yes.
It's important.
If somebody goes, oh, you're a guy, you probably use like just lotion from the store. I was like,
You're
no,
like,
I
nope.
don't.
Early enough that
I
I started
agree.
moisturizing since I was 14.
I was just telling someone last night, I was like, when I started drag 14 years ago, I used to use dish soap to wash my drag off. And we'll just say I do not do that anymore.
No.
It's about 6 products when I wash all this
Yeah.
off to get it to be, you have to take care of it.
Read the
We only got
read the
one.
back of it.
Exactly.
But thank you for coming on Electric Playhouse Drag Brunch 1 year
Absolutely.
anniversary.
yes.
I want to go
October
to this
6th.
now.
Nice.
Oh,
You do.
balloon!
Balloons.
Thank you for the celebration. We're very excited. Again, it's October 6th. We start at 12. I think we're already about halfway sold out, a month
Wow.
out, which is awesome. And definitely just go to all of our socials and like figure out not only Social Club, but I mean Electric Playhouse, Social Club, all these different places. And I think it's so important to go and support queer art. And I'm
Oh,
so
absolutely.
proud to be able to be a representative of my hometown and also to be in the company of not only my queer artists but all of you guys that are creating art around our city.
Yeah.
So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Duke City Ware said I still look like I'm in my 30s. You are.
You do.
Goddess.
You do.
Thank
He
you very
doesn't
much.
even have a face for radio. It's for film
Right.
as well. You
Like
got
he
this.
said, we're filming this podcast. Come on.
You tell Carissa
that.
Mitchell that. She's coming on this show again. She's been on it once.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So this time she was.
Chris and I were talking. I was like,
Yeah.
I kinda, like we were both like, I kind of have a low key crush on Chris. He's got a vibe. He got an energy that's just
You vibing.
yeah,
Now I'm blushing.
as you should.
Yeah. And this
I'm like,
Saturday.
let me let you finish your show.
Almost, oh no! Almost AAA Cabaret.
Yes,
This
indeed.
Sunday. This next Saturday, I'll be there.
Yes, indeed.
If you have a low key crush on me,
And I know, right?
right?
And we've got Avery Martini, No Vagina Martini, Jade Martini, and Calorie Kardashian.
It's a whole martini moment.
It's,
Yeah, the
it's gonna be
martinis
like
and
it's gonna be an all drag show, right?
Yeah, and
For the first
some
time.
surprises.
Oh.
Ooh.
Actually, almost all drag because we have a drag puppet act too, but nobody knows who's doing that.
I do.
Yeah, Chris does.
I know who's doing that.
Well.
Dang it!
Hey. Anyway,
I don't have it together, man. I've struggled with this because I was like, man, what can I do as an act? What could I do? There's some things I can do, but I don't have it yet.
Chris, I might have to just like run away real quick.
Do like an AMSR thing because you got the good voice. So
No,
just
no,
be like-
yeah.
no. See, I'm a storyteller. I'm a storyteller. So I thought about telling a story, but I was like, but
let me show you how much of a storyteller I am. Chris Smiley's like, please,
no.
I need to go.
I have a great story about my grandmother that I would like to tell, but I don't know how it would go. But I do and I don't. But maybe
Remember,
I'll
just
save
throw
it.
it. We
Next
just talked about it. Throw it into the universe and see how it's received.
And that's
Right?
that's
all you can
correct.
do.
That's correct. But yeah,
Yeah.
but it's
I'll
it's
see you. Oh, sorry.
go for it.
I was gonna say I'll see you next Saturday.
No, we'll be there
I
Saturday.
can't believe it.
I'll,
It's coming up.
I'll just do what I do. And it's your birthday. It's gonna be great. So
Yeah.
Happy birthday to
I'll get
you.
a present. Oh my God, there's so much stress in
Not
this.
a present. That would be, see. Now I'm stressed.
Why?
She needs a bath bomb. Just get her a bath bomb.
Oh, dude. Okay, here's what I don't like about men. We do not know how.
Like a whole, yeah.
And when I-
Smiley, go ahead.
I'm talking about like heterosexual men. We don't know how to like enjoy life. A bath bomb. I have a whirlpool tub in the house,
Nice.
Oh yeah.
and during COVID, I would be like, you know what, you know what GoPuff was, or they'll deliver like it's like Walgreens
yeah.
kind of.
Oh, right.
I'd be like, I'm gonna get some licorice, and I'm gonna get this, and this, and a bath bomb, and they would deliver it, and I'd be like, yeah, and I'd bath bomb that shit, and that was.
I mean, you got to take
light a
those
candle
moments to enjoy life.
Yes,
You do. You
For
do.
your wife, and you're like, for me.
for me. Like I have the
Absolutely.
whirlpool tub, and I have like 3 different kinds of Epsom salt.
Ooh.
Like I have
Very
the
nice.
coconut one for like my skin in the winter because it gets dry.
Chris's age is showing right now with his Epsom salt.
No, but I have the different kinds where they're like, yeah, of course.
Lavender.
Oh yeah, my joints are. I'm like, ow,
Same.
old. I'm old.
I love it. love
So
it.
come out next Saturday and say hello. If you haven't gone, not only is this going to be a special one, this is going to be like over the top, right?
Oh yeah.
I'm assuming.
Oh yeah.
Jeez Louise. Like anytime there's a drag, like who was the drag queen? It was their first time and they did the jump, land in the splits. And I was like,
Oh, that was my sister's partner. Yeah, that was.
holy fuck.
yeah.
Like your
Ink.
first time doing drag and you do a jump, land in the splits. And
like-
maybe that's why they did that.
Right?
Right.
I always
The
tell
last
people
time
if they
they'll
see
do
me
it.
do it, just go ahead and get 911 on the.
Just-
It wasn't supposed to happen.
Like even when you see the smile, start dialing.
exactly.
Because I'm a
Exactly.
performer and I will not break character.
The show
even though
must go on.
even though everything is broken.
Exactly. Bury that. Bury that.
Yes.
Flubber.
That's how it goes. And then come see if you're in Chicago and you want to meet up and hit me and Smiley up and tell us this is what I love about the show. I went to DC and I came back and I was like, yeah, it really wasn't a city for me. I didn't find anything I liked, and they took me out to all these places and I didn't care for them. This dude messages me on Instagram. He's like, I live in DC and I listen to your show and I kind of feel like I understand you. And he's like, when you come back, he goes, go to this place, this place, this place, and this place. Okay. And I went back and I went to like 3 of the 5 and I was like,
I like this town.
that dude knew where I wanted to go.
He does know me.
That's
And
awesome.
it was fantastic. Doug Montoya says, I'm going to do a death drop
Oh no.
on Saturday.
Yes.
Cut the
Come on,
cameras.
Doug. Come on, Doug Montoya.
Doug and Doug's on here right now. We need to get Doug back into the AAA Cabaret somehow, some way.
He, who knows?
Yeah, he needs
He
to
might.
be. He needs to be back in, and I'm tired. And I'm
at
tired
least
of him
doing
not being.
promo.
I'm tired of him not doing it.
Yeah. Tell him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
Doug?
definitely, I'm very excited. I need to go make it to one of them.
yeah.
I'm very excited.
It's hard.
No.
Saturday
What do
drag,
you mean?
but-
Make it to one of them? You should be on stage.
Well,
That's
it's
tea.
hard because often when you're doing your AAA, I have a show as well.
Oh.
Like Saturday, I'm hosting a show. I'm
Yeah.
hosting a pageant at Social Club. But
First
you
of
know,
all, how dare you?
I know, I know, it's a thing. But the fact of the matter is that I do want to remind anyone that's out there watching that none of this can exist if you don't get off your couch and go support.
No.
Just saying.
And it's one of those things where you're going to be like, I don't want to go, and then you go and you're like, I'm glad we did this.
Yep.
Every
exactly.
time.
Every
Every
time.
fucking time.
Yep.
Trust me.
It's true.
Yeah. Especially almost AAA Cabaret. I'm sure your show.
And especially Electric Playhouse. Yes,
Like
ma'am.
And there's-
I'll be at that one.
Yeah, you'll
I'd
see
love it.
Chris there.
Amanda's coming on the 6th. She told me. She's like, I don't have a gig. I don't have a. I'm so excited. Yeah. She's like, I'm rallying the troops as we speak.
I'm gonna hit her up and I'm gonna be with her.
Yeah,
Okay,
you'll be at
cool.
the table.
Yes.
Awesome.
Here's a question.
Yes.
So the thing that bothers me is I always want to tip and I always fucking forget to bring cash. Is there a way to tip that's not cash? Because tip your drag queens, everyone.
Well, we tried for a while during, like, right out of the pandemic. We were trying to do the whole Venmo handle thing and all
Oh,
that.
is it all still cash?
It's mostly cash, but
Dang
I
it.
mean,
All right.
The bar will give
the
you
bar
cash.
will give you cash.
All right.
So yeah, I
Dang
mean,
it.
we always
Okay.
can cash out
Yeah,
the
because
singles.
Because every time I show,
Bring
I'm like,
cash.
and then I feel like a fucking ass.
just
I'm
bring
like,
pennies. Just throw pennies at us.
like a whole sack at a
Just get it
time.
right in her mouth when she's getting a high note. Yeah.
getting
Oh,
her
what was-
86 before.
No, it's
he
fine.
comes.
It's fine. You can swipe my card, right? Ooh.
That's what they say. That's what they say.
All right, we're gonna get out of here. This was spectacular. Vanessa will be back on this show.
Thank
I
you for having me.
fucking to you that.
Appreciate it.
So, and Alma, always a pleasure. You're one of my favorite people on the planet.
Same.
And Alma's my boss, so I have to say that.
One day a month. That's all.
I'm kidding. No,
Call HR because she
Yeah.
just said she had a crush on you. So.
I know.
Low key.
It was a low crush. Thank you.
I feel uncomfortable backstage now. I'm just
I'm
kidding.
like, and at this point, it's a minority that doesn't have a crush on Chris.
Right.
At there, because we got
Yeah.
Carissa, we got me, we got Drew. I didn't tell you that part. No, just
Drew,
kidding.
I was like, whoa, all right. Well,
We got bro crush.
Drew's a broker. I think Drew is great. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, man, that guy's, see, the dog knows we're
You
done.
do know it's time.
She knows it's time.
That's
She's like,
wild.
girl, it's 4:30 or not 4:30, 7:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're over.
I told you, if we go over time, she's like,
That's our
That
alarm.
is wild.
all right. Well,
So
Brody
funny.
says that the show is over. And so that means it's over. It's ball time for Smiley.
Yeah,
He gets to throw the ball for the dog. Thank you guys for coming on the show. Smiley, thank you as well.
as always.
Topo Chico, thank you. And Malort, you better get your shit together. And
It was
sponsor
good.
the
It was delightful. Pickles and
Nope.
goodness.
Pickles and Campari.
Rubber pickles.
rubber pickles. And with that, we are 10 drink minimum.